We're live.
Okay. Got it.
I don't know. Apparently we're live. Okay. Shut down. Oh, hello everyone. I'm Frank. This is Joe. Another exciting episode of Dogs and Baskets. Did you happen to catch my interview with Bart Ehrman the other day?
I did. A little light on the Frisbee, but it's good.
No, it's actually completely, no. It's
It's relevant.
completely relevant.
Sure.
Absolutely. I mean, this guy's a Marxist. He's an atheist. He's a far left progressive liberal, and every argument I can synopsize, if that's a word, every one of his arguments. This is what I believe, and I believe it. And you're a believer too. Well, actually, no, I'm not a believer. And if you think I am, tell me what I actually believe. But you see, you're a believer. I mean, Oh my God. Yeah. And we can look at this guy, Ehrman, and say, this is why no one in our current culture is capable of critical thinking. Oh, well, Frank, we don't need someone like you coming along. We've got PhDs studying this, and they'll figure it out someday. You just move along now, because we got Daniel Dennett. He's a brilliant atheist, and Chalmers, and what does that have to do with my present? You haven't knocked down a single point of my presentation. You're just being an arrogant academic, pseudo academic. You should not be around children. The idea that he's a department head on, I'm serious.
Yeah, no, I mean,
11 out of 12, and I don't care who or what, I don't even know who you are, but 11 out of 12 university professors are this guy. And the results are obvious, but ultimate Frisbee is based on that same exact ideology. And it got to be a little contentious at the end. And the best part was, and I hope it got captured, and you can tell me. Eventually, I mean, I got him so far out of his comfort zone. He's never been interviewed like this before. But at the very end, they're close to the end, he said something like, well, I don't care if our system's flawed. What are we going to replace it? It'll be complete medlem. And right. That's like, yeah. I said, that's not a good reason to stick with a corrupted, false sense of science or a model of science, because of the alternative is going to,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's unfortunate. I mean, and you said it, it's too bad that was brought up so late, because it would have been nice to go into that a bit, but
the timing was good because I delivered, to me, that was my haymaker. If for people who understood what he said and what my response was, that's not a good, that's not an excuse for not doing it. I don't care what happens. Right. Well, thanks. I'm glad that actually came out. I want to do something with that material because, like I said, it's not just relevant to Ultimate. Ultimate's a case study for this. And we're going to get into this video. We're going to do Joe Wright, who I don't know. He's emailed me a few times since I started this podcast with some complimentary remarks, which is always nice. And we're going to go through the semifinals of Ring of Fire and Salem Witch Hunt. Oh, Salem Slam. Oh, yeah, Rhino Slam.
Rhino Slam, yeah.
Right. And I hope the UPA doesn't bust my nuts over using their copyrighted material, or All Too World. Charlie, I hope it's okay with you. This is nonprofit, non-commercial, fair use, educational. And I really honestly hope from the bottom of my heart, this is educational. So you can see what goes on in the mind of crazy Frank when he's watching this crap. So anything else you want to add before we get started, or, add a little spice on the food, but Tell me who you are. I have who are you?
Yeah, I'm Joe Wright. I live in the Houston area in Texas.
Well, no, I didn't ask where you live or what your name is. Who are you? Besides a Bulls fan. Oh, see, it says Rodman on the top of the sign.
Not a Bulls fan, just a Rodman fan.
Oh, sweet. Well, see,
Yeah.
I'm kind of like a mix between Rodman and Donald Trump.
Yeah. Okay.
And people in a few weeks they're going to get that and like, holy fuck, God, Frank was right again.
Yeah. Do you think Rodman considered himself by far the greatest basketball player of all time?
Did he?
I don't know. I'm asking. I mean, you're comparing yourself to Rodman. So I'm
Oh
wondering.
no, I'm the guy in ultimate. So Rodman was the guy you hated to play against, but you loved to have on your team. I'm that guy.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. That's Rodman was
Right.
that the quintessential that guy. There are a lot of those guys, but Rodman was the one.
He's the quintessential, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so, especially back in the 90s when I had my own team for about 10 years, my teammates, they loved me, because
Sure.
of, hey, we would go into, who played with Frank. It were, you get my point. Like it wasn't
Mhm.
like top tier or even second tier, third tier players. I would get, and we'd go in with on paper, our team should have gotten just annihilated, and we'd play all the top teams point for point. And I would grab players literally off the street, plug them into my offense in a tournament with Tsunami or Double Happiness or one of the top players, and they dominate. Two weeks, completely. They didn't even know how to throw a frisbee, and I had them it mostly in the center post position in my offense.
Mhm.
And the people who knew what was going on were just laughing. They weren't even on my team, but they knew how ridiculous that was.
So I don't remember which one it was, but in a recent video you did, you mentioned like in order to really, really showcase it, show what, dribbling and shredding is all about, you would need kind of to get a group of people together to learn and, spend a significant amount of time. So I guess I wonder, comparing that to what you just said, like can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, this seems like a contradiction.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say I can grab 20 guys off the street and go dominate. If I have a team of players so dribbling is the only sport where dribbling is a collaborative effort.
Right.
Right. And it's a real, it's literally a game changer, and it requires, sort of like basketball. You can have, name your awkward center, I don't know. But everybody knows how to dribble huh? Yeah. Everyone knows how to dribble in basketball, whether they may dribble once and pick up and toss it, but likewise on my team, I would need everyone to know how to dribble, primarily so that they understand when the main dribbler is doing, why they're playing the supporting actor, the best supporting actor, in their role, which is critical. I mean, it's so, you got instead of 6 players running around with their, like a chicken with their head cut off, you've got one player doing the lion's share of the running in this offense, which is obviously way more efficient.
Yeah.
And so you need to, as a secondary or supporting actor in that, you need to be able to, so be subservient or whatever you want to call it, a little yin and yang, because when it's your turn, when that dribbler is done and it's your turn to dribble, you want that reciprocated, of course. So it's that kind of reciprocal relationship with your teammates. Okay, it's my turn. I'm going to have some fun. You guys are going to support me. Now it's your turn. Okay, I'm going to support you, and you're going to have fun. And ironically, ultimate players I kind of know why it is. Doesn't matter. It's just kind of funny that they're the hardest to get to play in that kind of collaborative, reciprocal arrangement. Anyway, and I would like to, as you mentioned, I would like to share my knowledge. I know Felix Shardlow just put out a video a couple of weeks ago. It's the best dribbling video, so far, and it's orders of magnitude short of where it can and will be when either you guys figure it out or I'm able to get a phone call from some team that's like, oh, okay, Frank, we're tired of your shit. Just shut up and come and tell us how to do it, or something. Because, but it does require some commitment. You know, you have to give up weekend mixed hat tournaments. You know,
Right.
and maybe give up an AUDL season or a pro flight. You know, it's to really get this, not even master level, but competitive level. I mean, and really competitive. Like I'd want to put on an exhibition against a, you know, Ring of Fire or whatever. You know, I've got way too much on the line to go in there with 3 weekends of, you know, clinic practice and getting my ass kicked, and it won't look anything like what it's supposed to. So if I had 20 guys, and the talent level doesn't need to be particularly high per se. Of course, I would want the best, but if I had 20 athletic guys committed for 6 months, we can change the game forever.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me do this. What's that noise?
Oh, it sounds like a toddler.
Does that belong to you?
No, it's a niece. Well, I do have a toddler, but that's not him.
All right, so what we're going to do is I got this queued up. I'm going to share my desktop. Let's do this. Oh, stop that. Oh, shoot. Now look what I've done. Sorry for this. I had it all queued up. Okay, here we go. I'm using a new video player. Felix recommended a different player because I guess the last one was laggy. And let me know if this is laggy at all. Okay, I'll go back to here. And we'll just get started. I'm going to hopefully make this engaging and interactive, ask you questions. What's going to happen next?
Sure.
And why? And then I'll explain how crazy that is. That you know exactly. I mean, everybody knows. I mean, it's rhetorical, but the why is actually more interesting.
Definitely. Yeah.
You know, it's like, why are they doing that? Okay, what are we doing here? Share screen. And we're off. Oh, it's just screen. Okay. Now, the big question is, can you see that?
Can I see what? I can see your screen. Yes. I can see the lines. Yes.
Oh, great. Excellent.
No.
couldn't figure that out last time. Okay. First thing I want to point out here is what's happening here. This right here. You know what that is? That's that's cultural Marxism.
You're pointing at the group of people sitting behind the end zone?
Well, I don't see a group of people.
Oh, okay.
I see 1, 2, 3. That person's walking in yellow. So there's 4. I see 8 people. So
one's a photographer.
So we did this. I did this interview with. Oh, that's correct. Right. And this guy's on his phone texting, and this guy's hitting on this chick. And
there's at least 1 or 2 active observers. It looks like.
Well, yeah, but their parents or girlfriends or
family. One or two of those people are watching this game, maybe.
So the point is, and I hate to beat a horribly beaten dead horse, but 50 years, people, you know, I had this interview with Bart Ehrman about ideologies and Christianity and atheism. This is ultimate Frisbee after 50 years. This is a semifinals of a national championship for the game that we all love. And let's just take it for what it is. All right, here we go. And this is going to take me a minute to kind of get acquainted with the telestrator.
Sure.
Okay, here we go. And there's a bunch of ring players, and they're very cute. I like the orange. I love the orange cleats. Those are very nice. All right, let's take a little. This is going to suck. Okay, hold on. All right, so Joe, what's going to happen next?
So guy in the center, looks like number 22, is going to catch the disc, turn around and look upfield.
Let's see what happens. And why is he going to do that?
Because that's what you do.
That's probably the best answer there is. There's reason and logic, but your answer is better than mine, I think. Okay. That's crazy. That's just complete insanity.
Mhm.
I'm just going to go back here. And let's do Frank's version instead.
Here, can I have a crack at that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So my guess is 22 is going to catch the disc.
Yeah.
Whoever is catching the pull, who's throwing the disc right now,
Right.
he's going to come pretty much straight at number 22. And in this case, there's really no defense yet, so deception isn't really important. But he's gonna go get the disc back. He's gonna give it to 22. 22 is gonna give it back to him while moving to the left field.
So I think in a more normal, if you will, situation, that might be true. But the answer is surprisingly no for actually most of the time. So let's get my pen out here. This is gonna suck. I'm gonna try to. So I would say normally what I would do when I'm catching the disc here, the first thing I'm going to do, I mean, look, he's not traveling, but he's moving unnecessarily, which is like he's trying to pinch off another yard or two towards the attacking end zone, which is like, why?
Do you think the motivation there is to try to get an extra yard, or is he just starting to turn up field before he catches the disc?
Yardage, 100%.
You think so? Okay.
100%. This is, I hate to date it. This is like 15 or 20 years old. It's relatively new, by the way, for people who don't know me, if there's anyone. I've been playing Frisbee since the 60s. From 69, I got a little short videotape of home film, playing Ultimate since 79. And I've lived through a lot of this. This is kind of a relatively new thing. It's just sort of, it's foolishly almost looking at a loophole in the rules and exploiting it just for the sake of exploiting it without knowing what you're doing. So anyway, back what I would do, I actually would have done the opposite. I would have leaned into the catch instead of leaned away. But what I'm going to do first here is actually fake it. So I don't really want this guy moving much.
Okay.
Because in fact, I still want him there. So, that's interesting. I don't know why these players are, one of these players should be out here. This is nuts that you've got all this space and, let me just erase those. Sorry if I'm babbling incoherently, but it drives me a little nutty. So if this were me, what I'm going to do is do a fake dribble back to this guy. So if I'm going to do a fake dribble back, I need him stationary. I don't want my hardwood to be moving around. And what I'm going to do then is I'm going to fake this, which is going to freeze this. Okay. It's going to freeze this guy. Whoever is going to be my mark, as soon as I fake back to this guy, he's going to assume that I got to draw every line here, that I'm going to go here or go here.
Right.
It'll be obvious if I'm going to dribble backwards, which sometimes I would do if the defense is tighter. But if I'm just going to fake and then turn my head, they have to guard against just give and then run it clear. I would want to have one of these guys over on this flat. So I'm going to pivot fake to this guy, and then I'm going to pivot dribble to one of the flats. A pivot, you get what I mean by a pivot dribble?
You can explain it. Sure. Please explain that.
So it's almost in one motion. I'm going to be square. I'm going to catch the ground without getting yardage because it's foolish.
Yeah.
Pump fake with a backhand lift, not a high release, a back most, but the best.
Mhm.
The best throw, I may have said this before, but this is really can't be said enough. The best dribble is a backhand lift, which is not necessarily a high release. I throw backhand lifts from my belly. It's the most stable, as well as easy to control, to make sure that I'm going to be running with the disc, that when I release it, it's going to be going with the same speed as me. So
Right.
a pivot dribble is, I'm going to fake the dribble to this guy, and then in one motion, 120 degrees, I'm going to turn around, and as soon as my body, I'm not going to dribble unless my hips are square to where I'm dribbling to.
Right.
So I'm not going to be my hips pointing out this way and then throw across my body on a dribble there. I mean, I can, and I do, and it happens, but you really want to
fundamentals. Yeah.
the fundament, right? Exactly. If you really want to nail this, so I'm going to obviously if it's going to the flat out here where there's no players, that'll be a flick give go. And if it's going to be to this guy out on the other flat, this guy, it'll be a backhand lift give go or dribble or whatever you want to call it.
So earlier you said this is kind of one motion, but
right.
And I know you've talked about balance a lot. Are you setting your feet before you throw that, or are you throwing as you're turning towards them? Because right now you're facing backfield. You're going to turn to the receiver, and then throw the disc. How does the timing of that work?
Great question. I mean, it's completely the opposite. I'm probably on the goal line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Instead of cheating here for no good reason. In fact, it's bad reason. You're actually you might be pinching yardage, but you're getting closer to the defense.
Right? Closer to the end zone, but also closer to the defense. Yeah.
Right. And in the dribbling motion, triangle, triple threat offense, yardage has no value.
Sure.
You do not value yardage. In fact, I would argue yardage is a result, and don't chase results. Have good values.
Right.
Establish good values. Results will be a natural intended consequence from that.
But an intended consequence, I mean, you're creating these values based on the objective of the game, right? I mean, you are trying to score, so you're defining values.
No. Score is a result.
Right. But like, what are you basing your values on?
Okay, what's the objective?
Right, exactly.
Right. So, I'm going back to what your point was. The objective is not to score. The goal is to score. The objective is to manipulate to defense, to communicate to the defense in no uncertain terms that you can do what you want, when you want, how you want. They can't do anything to stop you. You want to that's the objective is, and I've said this a lot. You want to dictate tempo. In fact, that's probably the simplest way that's the objective, dictating tempo. And so all values come off of that.
Yeah. But like, I guess my what I'm wondering is, why do you want to dictate tempo? Would you rather dictate tempo and not score and lose than if dictating tempo doesn't lead to scoring and doesn't lead to winning? Is the idea that dictating tempo is advantageous to the game state?
God help me.
Why do you
is there a single Joe in there? Is there a single player in the world that dictates tempo? I say no. I say no.
Sure, maybe, yeah. I'm not going to disagree with you, but
all right. But let me. I'm kind of pulling a Frank here. Let me try to give you a sincere answer to your question.
Thanks.
It's hard because.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You're a great. I'm thrilled. This is fun. I have this objective of dictating tempo, or what I first said, which is, manipulating the defense, which is two sides of the same coin. I mean, it's the same side of the same coin. The values that I've gone ahead then and assigned are balance, and balance is, this guy's not balanced as he's catching the disc right now. Right. The guy that threw to him is not balanced. I would say what part of this is a balanced attack when you've got a major chunk of the field here. I would stipulate that in my offense, I'd like to have a flanker here and a flanker here. A player here, a center post here and there. So that's a form of balance, correct? There's balance in terms of the triple threat ratio. And it doesn't have to be 33 and a third, 33 and a third, 33 and a third.
Of course,
But you would want a commensurate balance. So maybe 80, 15, 5 is what I shoot for. 80% dribbles, 15% throws, and 5% throwing attempts, scoring attempts. So that's a form of balance. There's balance in terms of, obvious physical balance. So I'm on top of my pivot foot all the time. You don't want it, of course the non-pivot foot's going to be going around, but the balance should be straight up, and most people will say, well, what about the marker? I'm like, what marker? You guys have no clue. The marker is so irrelevant. Like if there's a marker right here and you've got this balanced attack that I want, you've got half of your team, 3 players out of the 6 available open. The marker is irrelevant. Right. So, and then there's balanced lefty righty throws at a minimum. There's no reason any player worth of salt is not faking left-handed constantly. I mean, is there a reason not to fake with your offhand? So that's a form of, you can't throw it, sure. Right, especially. So that's also a kind of balance. So balance is huge. Yeah. What I have efficiency is a huge core value of mine. If you look at and I really am happy with the way my player efficiency rating statistic came out, because it really is a great way of measuring efficiency, and you can do it across the board. If you, I'll say it till my grave. If a team had a PER of 1 and all the players averaged out to 1, they would crush everyone. So that's a way of measuring efficiency, not necessarily balance. I don't have my list in front of me. I think those are the main 2. But back to your question. If you have sound values, and balance and efficiency are very sound values in any sport, are you going to win? I mean, which is sort of your question.
Or do you want to win? I mean, what is,
winning is a result. Good question. Right. Exactly. Right.
But like, no, where do all these things come from? Like you develop your values to meet your objective, which is dictate tempo.
And manipulating defense, right? Dictating tempo. Sure. Right.
So, but where did you come up with dictating tempo?
Bay Area. That's a joke. I know. It's a joke.
Okay. I should give you more credit.
Yeah. Well, you get the hang of it. So let me try to answer that Frank style. So I started playing in 1979, and I played for 10 years in the Ugly Mitt era, which there should be a documentary on the Ugly Mitt era. Like it's important. It's part of the reason that right now there's no spectators after 50 years. Like, people should understand what the Ugly Mitt era was and how horribly the UPA attempted to remediate it instead of not understanding the root cause. But in any event, because of the highly aggressive play and fouling that was going on, I started developing dribbling, and I didn't call it dribbling, or it was more or less in large part because of Santa Barbara Black Tide, the school team, UC Santa Barbara. If you didn't lay out on every defensive attempt, you were kicked off the team. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And they never got the disc. But that wasn't the point. Back in the day, I was a stallion. No, it was the point with most people. They didn't get it from me, but it was sort of like gnats. Like, get off me. What is this? And so I started this dribbling as a way of neutralizing all the fouls. It's like, okay, it was my answer. And then I was on a team that I started with some friends throughout the 80s, and it was like the Beatles breakup. It's like, you know what, guys, this is the future. I'm going to do my thing. Because there was they were like, Frank, you can't, to this day, they don't. It's kind of funny. They just don't get it. And so over the years, as I developed, okay, how do I teach this? How do I build a framework around it? And then it was in the late 80s, 90s, as I'm watching the Bulls, I'm like, holy crap, that's my offense. I mean, seriously. In fact, I got in the books behind me, I got Tex Winter's Triangle Triple Post book. And it's very relevant. I mean, it's brilliant, really. He read my mind. And so working back from there, in the 2000s, then I was starting to understand more about the fundamental principles of basketball that I had been employing without knowing it.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I understood, a triple threat principle in basketball is always true, always has been true, always will be true. It's a principle. And understanding the application of that's what I had been doing without realizing it. But once I realized, it made it that much more powerful. Because when you really understand, holy crap, I've got all this leverage I never knew I had. And you start wielding that leverage, game over, literally. And in the last decade, as I've worked with Mike DeNardis, who's coaching this game here in San Diego, and other people, once I moved to North Carolina, it was then more in terms of trying to communicate, they're asking me questions. Well, what's the objective? And so that the process that you and I are doing right now is part of that, where it got to be, what's about dictating tempo. Mm-hmm. It's about, and this, what's the value here? It's probably efficiency, and we'll get to that, but it's about, okay, why do most teams give away the advantage? Why are they not aware of the advantage they have at any time? So right. Awareness would probably be a huge value. And not field awareness per se, which you can't really teach because some people have and some don't, but having a system that's explicitly designed for people to know what their roles are. Mm-hmm. So that's, I mean, it's just a very organic process. And to answer your question, it's like, okay, how do you, it came from me being extremely abstract 20 years ago of doing my thing and like, holy crap, this is awesome. I'm unstoppable, to then putting a system around it and building a team and trying to teach it with people that I've kind of learned how to communicate the ideas a little better.
Right. Okay. So part of what you said is you develop dribbling kind of as a response to all the fouling that's happening, right?
Correct.
So maybe this isn't true, but would you say that like the fouling makes the dribbling more valuable?
Yes. It's martial arts.
Right.
Which is why you should never call it. When people call fouls on offense, I'm like, what are you guys doing? What?
It's not helping you.
It's not helping you. You're doing it just because you can. Mm-hmm. Unless you have a bloody nose or whatever. Like, why in God's name did you just call a foul? You got the defender's lying on the ground or whatever. Like, why would you call a foul?
Right. Yeah. So I guess then you talk about guardrails. If the rules in Ultimate were, if you commit a foul, then you're ejected from the game.
I like that.
Okay. But does that make dribbling less valuable? Because now there's way less fouling. If fouling makes dribbling more valuable, then a lack of fouling relatively makes it less valuable, correct? Does that make sense?
That's a great question.
Thank you.
It's very Platonian. No, it doesn't. No, you get you get, I'd like to say maybe 3 orders magnitude more leverage and power and efficiency out of dribbling. I
Mhm.
mean, it's literally like, you know, I was talking to Bansfield about this the other day. It's like on one hand, you got a handful of rocks or straw or something. And the other hand, you've got 8 ounces of gold. And the dribbling, and that's why I'm like the 80, 15, 5 percentage. Like if there was 8 ounces of gold for you at the end zone and all you had to do was play within that 80, 15, 5, you would go for the gold. So dribbling gives, I'm saying dribbling gives you an 800% increase over of leverage and advantage maintenance.
Okay.
Then so foulings, and I would also, about the first one, I would retract that a little bit because balance is so important to me. A lot of what players might call ticky-tack fouls in conventional ultimate is just, oh, that's just how we play, are really not fair against me.
Somebody who wants to be balanced.
Of someone who I'm dancing, I'm on a skateboard out there or on a snowboard, and someone's got a wrecking ball, bam. Like, what the fuck?
Right.
I'm doing my thing. It's completely legal, and you're just knocking me off. You're knocking me on my ass, and there's no, you're doing it with impunity. This is so. So your questions, now that I think about it, there's a lot of times when fouling is advantageous to the offense and the dribbling, but there's a lot of times where it's like, come on, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
All right, let's hit play. We haven't even completed a throw yet. We're 30 minutes into this. Okay. Okay, now look at that. Holy crap. Holy fucking crap. Let me go a little bit more. Holy shit, what the fuck is this? I mean, do you get what I'm reacting to here? This is Ring of Fire. Apparently, well, I get that, Joe, but let's pretend we've never watched this before. This is the national championship team, Ring of Fire. They just had this massive I gotta use this player. All right, just hit play here. Look at this pull. Look at what they have here, right here. It's just an extraordinary advantage. This guy here on the flat, this guy can zigzag. He could have done a give go. I mean, one of the things I would have done here is a dribble past this guy, which would have allowed, and then run a play action pass. And then this guy could have dribbled out here, or he could have dribbled out to this guy. Instead, I'm going to erase this. I mean, you guys all know what's coming, but what part of this is balanced, efficient, and with a significant amount of awareness? Watch this. Bam, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All the entire advantage they had is now completely evaporated in a course of, that's not even 2 seconds.
Right.
All right. I'm sorry. I know this gets old, but man, this is hard to watch. What the hell is this? This is 50 years. And we can see here, over here, I think there's, let me see. I think that's Denardis's dad. I mean, come on. This is a semi-championship. There's nobody watching this. No one cares. All right. Let's go. Let's just watch. Find something interesting. La 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 la. All right. Now is the thrower balanced?
Doesn't look like it.
He is not. And I bet $1 to donuts, he's about to travel. Doesn't look like he did.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, well, the reason I thought he was going to is because I don't understand why he didn't. I mean, I do understand, but I wish I had better granularity on this. Okay. So the throw right now can't, you want to throw hip to hip. That hip needs to be square. If you're going to dribble, it needs to be square. So this guy's way out of position. He should be way over here with his hip square to this guy. I don't know what I'm saying, but this is an extraordinarily inefficient offense, obviously. Anyway, let me erase those. I'm trying to learn how to use these tools. It's as awesome that I can do the telestrator. This is very cool.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So, I mean, one thing you might see, I don't, they didn't throw it, but one thing you might see is that guy just throw that flick to that in cutter.
Right.
Okay. And if he does it, he's throwing it out to the space in front of him, and the in cutter is kind of running onto the disc.
It's a horrible play.
Sure. They don't do it. They do something different. But
well, on this play, they don't. But yeah,
that happens in Ultimate all the time.
Right.
I guess one thing I'm wondering, in general, when we're talking about passing, well, I guess when you're talking about dribbling, you're talking hip to hip, having your hip square. You're not typically leading players. You're not typically throwing to space and having players get to the disc. You're throwing to a player, at least in dribble. Is that correct?
It's a good. I mean, there's no rules. It's
Of
a good
course,
rule
yeah.
of thumb. It's a good rule of thumb. It's free. Dribbling's freestyle, which is why I like it so much. So there's a framework. It's almost like the only. I mean, let's just say you're right 90% of the time. It's a rule of thumb. Yes, mostly you want to have that level of control. Because otherwise the receiver is not going to be balanced when he catches a disc.
Exactly. Right. It makes it harder to be balanced in that.
They're not going to be. Yeah, it's almost impossible. By the time they get balanced, I mean, timing is everything. I don't know if you want to put timing as part of a value or it's just part of balance, but timing is everything. And 100 milliseconds is death.
Yeah.
If it takes you 100 milliseconds to get balanced when you could have just been balanced when you caught the disc, that's the difference between a turnover and a score.
Right. Okay. Sure.
All right, let's go here. La da da. This guy's running around like a chicken with his head cut off. Now he does the exact same throw you're talking about.
Right.
Right.
But loses yards instead of.
Right. They're back in the end zone. I don't have
Yeah.
much to say here. He does that same thing. So that guy eventually gets the disc. And ironically, I don't know if you just saw that. You know what we just saw?
What's that?
He was actually hip to hip. And where's he going? He's going,
Yeah.
And
he threw and then bailed out is what happened. He's throwing and then
what they call clearing.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is clearing is possibly the most insane. In a game full of insanity, there's a lot more things insane than clearing, but it's pretty dumb. No. I mean, if it's me, if he's not going to penetrate into and follow his catch, which this looks like about 9 feet and 11 inches. So this is a legal screen here. If he comes in here, or he can come in here and just catch the disc, which is legal. And this guy can fade, or he can just throw and fade here and provide some backfield support. There's, or he could have done a swimmer here and caught the high release lift here and caught it here, which would be a case. That's the answer to where you're the 10% of where you're throwing to space when you're throwing backdoor throws.
Okay.
You know what I mean by backdoor? It's Scottie Pippen dribble bouncing to Rodman and he's going. So a backdoor. If this guy had come around here and the fake was back here in the backfield and this guy threw a lift to him, that's a backdoor. You are throwing. It's a little bit to space. It's not huge.
Right.
But it is. It's not hip to hip or direct. But on a backdoor throw, if that was executed, now you've got the guy with his hip. He's balanced typically on a backdoor, and he's got this. And there's in a good set, he's going to have someone to dribble off of right here. I mean, if this guy could have run that play on a backdoor on swimming this defender, he would have had, daylight all the way down the field to dribble. I don't know how it's going to take me forever to erase all these.
Yeah.
Okay. But instead, he does something completely unbecoming of a national championship caliber player. He gets the hell out of there. All right, let's see what happens next. I mean, we're 5 throws and 2 yards upfield. It's been 35, 40 minutes. Oh, so that was a good move.
Yeah.
That was a good looking move. And that was close to a pivot dribble. Except he doesn't know what he's doing. Oh man, I don't have granularity on my, that's unfortunate. But watch this move. This isn't rocket science, people. Like, this is so easy. Okay, see that wasn't exactly a dribble pivot, but it's a pivot dribble, but it sort of was. But and
to cap it off, he needs to follow the throw.
That would be smart. He's got total hip to hip here. You've got he can come in, go to this. You know, if he comes here, throw to this guy's lefty or go to that guy's righty. I mean, you've got from the clusterfuck it was actually right now. You've got the field pretty wide open. Except
for the fact that the guy cleared on the last throw is now coming into that space. I mean, the current thrower wants to maybe
wait. You mean is it this guy?
Yeah, I mean they're moving upfield now, which is where the current thrower wants to get potentially. If he can throw this centering pass and then
it's interesting. Let's see. I think you're right. That's the guy who I'm saying should have done the swim move. So you're right. So let's see. Yeah, he's kind of cleared out, but this field again. Look at this mess.
Yeah.
If number whoever this is, if he stays here, square to where I have this expression, show some love. At a minimum, on almost every play, just for a brief moment. Oh, is this? I'm sorry, I'm a white supremacist. For a brief, I did the okay. Yeah.
I didn't notice.
What a fucked up, crazy time we're in. This is gonna ricochet so hard, violently back. All you liberals have no idea what's coming. Let's assume he didn't pivot downfield blind. All right, so he's looking back this direction. Right, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 66% of his teammates are actually
behind him.
And if he stays there and maintains it, I mean, clearly he's got this guy.
Right.
This guy right here, I don't know what the hell he's doing because he's not square at all he's not square to this. And if this guy, like I said, he's got his back turned and he throws to this guy, if this guy has his hip, if he's square here, then you've got a play here. This guy over here should be square so that, if the play does go here and this guy maintains the backfield presence, he's square. And like I said, show some love, show eye contact just for a second between, and this again dictates tempo. It's a form of communication to the defense, if nothing else. Ideally, it's a lot more than that, but at least show some eye contact. Show a little love. Hey, thanks, buddy, for throwing me the disc. Oh, no, that's okay. No problem. Oh, no, really, I love you. No, I love you too. No, I love you. No, okay, throw the disc. No, really, I love you. Like, show some eye contact. There's it's crazy how, like you said, why do they do it? Because that's the way it's always been done, which sounds a lot like Bart Ehrman, back to Christian theology. It all ties together, people. And by the way, please, if you have not seen it, I urge you to watch my debate with Bart Ehrman, episode 10. I did it Sunday. It may not seem relevant. This guy was he's like one of the world's foremost authorities on the first 3 or 4 centuries of early Christianity. He was raised Episcopalian, went to seminary, and became an atheist. And because Dogs and Baskets is all about ideologies, And ideologies is why we have nobody on the sidelines watching, and people cutting for the same way they've cut for 40 years without even knowing why they're doing it. I thought it'd be great to dissect the world's, I'd like to say, the mother of all ideologies, Christianity.
You're going to say ultimate.
Ultimate's a fifth level derivative of Christianity.
Yeah.
Most people don't know that. I've got a few laws about ideologies. Ideologies are always divisive. The people who are part of, you're in or you're out. This is our belief system, and those who don't believe it, so they always create these fissures in society between those in and those out. Ideologies tend to create or beget equal and opposite ideologies, because the divisiveness creates this other, hey, wait a minute, we have our own belief system. Oh yeah. And then it ping pongs back and forth. And the third one is any time in society, any place in society where we see organizational ideologies, we're guaranteed to have institutionalized bigotry, which is the lack of tolerance for non-like-minded thinking. And ultimate is a bunch of bigots. No, we're not. We love everybody as long as they think like us. Okay. Soapbox time is over. Okay, let's see what's happening. More of the same. Although, yeah, I know that we can just do 1 point, Joe. We'll be done.
Yeah. We might finish a point.
But, it's going to get old. But okay, so this guy, he's not hip to hip.
Right.
And if he catches a disc and he's hip to hip with the thrower, shows a little love. I love you, guy. No, I love you. Thanks. Oh, thank you for throwing me. No, thank you. Thank you for catching it. Show some eye contact, show some love. And look what he has. He has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 87% of his team is behind him. And what's he going to do when he catches a disc?
Try to find the guy ahead of him.
Oh my, what a surprise. There's one guy upfield from him. This is, by the way, this is our national champion team, people. I mean, give me a fucking break. This is, seriously.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is a complete joke. This is the Special Olympics. Congratulations, Mike Denardis. You've won the Special Olympics. I mean, is there any meaning at all from winning this? Not to mention the fact that there's no penalties, there's no referees, and you guys are incredibly mediocre. Where's Sal Yannick? The most mediocre of all the Ring of 5 players. Okay. I think we can just move on here. Sal Yannick, is that his name? Look at how unbelievably efficient that was compared to what it would have been. Were they right?
See, he looked upfield so that 5 seconds later, when his players were upfield, he would be looking at them.
I mean, there is a certain logic there, no doubt.
Right. And then now that he has 1 player backfield, that's where he's going to look. Now he's going to turn away from upfield because everybody's there.
And then, come on, man. Look, I just threw you the disc. Show me some love. Tell me you love me. Oh, no, I love you. No, thanks for throwing. No, thanks for catching it. No, please. Let the defense know that you guys are viable.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Every time this happens, there's one thing these 2 players know. That they're the only 2 people on the field. I mean, generally, yes, I might have some peripheral vision, but guaranteed these 2 guys know they're viable as catcher receiver. Why?
So,
yeah.
I mean, 26 right now, number 26, just threw the disc.
Yeah.
And is making it very clear that he has no interest in getting it back.
Right.
Right. His defender is getting that message. Okay.
Right.
One thing I wonder, regardless of what 26 does, I mean, 26 does stay hip to hip and he is viable. Does the current thrower, does he ever throw in that same? I mean, he's not really hip to hip with. He's looking at 26, but he's also looking here at the guy behind, whoever that is, a little upfield.
This guy.
Yes. I mean, that should be viable too, correct?
What I would like to see is this guy to stay engaged, hip to hip, eye to eye, do a little dance, and fade. All he has to do is walk here. Like, there's no reason for him not to just drift over this direction.
Mhm.
What you could do is a quick throw and then rethrow just to freeze defenders.
Right.
That'll just freeze them all because they'll be confused.
Yes.
What are you guys doing? It's patty cake. Well, yeah, you guys aren't covering us. You suck. So we can do this and we're going to. But yeah, if this guy fades, then you've got an easy give go. I'm going to erase all these. There must be an erase all button.
You would think so, but
I'm sure there is, but I'm an idiot. At 61 years old, you just don't really care.
no.
You can't teach an old dog new throws. Compared to what I was saying, I know this gets old, but man, you just brought this defender into this guy's wheelhouse. This guy can defend this guy. You've got this guy covered. This guy sitting there saying, dude, get your head out of your ass. I'm square, I'm hips. You can run here and you can fade on a give go, dribble back there, run a swim move back into the middle and throw for a score. What the hell? Instead, this guy's keyed on this. So I'm guessing what he's going to do is wait for this action to, this action to resolve itself. And let's see what happens. There it is.
Yeah.
Okay, now I think what this guy should do here, I think he should show a little love. What do you think?
Sure.
Yeah, show some eye contact. Just smile lovingly. Thank you for throwing it this. No, thanks for catching it. Thanks for being open for me. No. Thank you for let the defense know at this moment you guys are in complete control of what's happening. Anyway, instead we're going to see I'm going to get faster at this.
You've already gotten faster. It's no.
I know, but I wish I can go backwards a little better. Oh, that's just volume. Anyway, let's see what happens. Oh, well, there's a yawner. All that for this. Yeah. Oh, wait, watch this. Spike it. Woo-hoo-hoo! You guys are so. You guys suck. You are unbelievably mediocre. You have nothing to celebrate, assholes. Jesus Christ. I mean, seriously. After all that, you're going to celebrate? That's a fucking disgrace. I'm sorry, man. I promised I wouldn't do that, but god damn. What the hell are you celebrating? Act like you've been there before. I mean, look at this. What the fuck?
They're excited.
Dude,
they scored.
On the most inefficient, mediocre. I mean, this looks like Winter League. I've seen Winter League look better than this.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but with the celebrations, the spike.
Yeah. One thing though is it's hard to think about these things in according to your value system when clearly that's not theirs. They're trying to score. They're not trying to dictate tempo. So doesn't it make sense that they're going to celebrate when they score? Doesn't it make sense that they're excited when they score? They don't care if it's inefficient. They're trying to score. They don't have
They're valuing results.
Right. And I understand why it's problematic.
No, I know. No, you're asking an excellent question, and I can speculate or theorize. It goes back to the first pivot, and you said because that's what they've always done.
Mm-hmm.
My answer is the reason they've always done it is Ultimate has always been played with this extremely misguided sense of urgency. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that's that. I think that's just an observation over 40 years. This is what it is. Like there's just this white knuckle. They're playing defense and we got to play really hard. We got to throw hard. We got to run hard. And they make it because they value results instead of having established strong values. It's just a constant struggle. And if you want to get more a little psychological, deep down subconsciously, they're intentionally making it a struggle. You might even suggest that the reason they make it a struggle is because subconsciously they know there's a tremendous offensive bias And so in order to make the game fun, they have to make it, to intentionally make it harder on themselves. I don't know. I mean, it's crazy. But yeah,
they're wild. It is wild sometimes watching, and even the conventional rules of thumb in Ultimate, you see offensive teams, you see teams on offense ignore them and thinking like, what's going on here? It does seem like, are you just trying to make it harder on purpose? Throwing throws that don't need to be thrown, and end up coming down with them or not, but just unnecessarily, making it unnecessarily difficult.
Absolutely, for decades. Absolutely, it's very manly. Dribbling's not manly.
And I'm not even talking about dribbling.
I'm sorry about the screaming and yelling, but man, I know.
I mean, like in general, in Ultimate, the same third hucks are frowned upon. That's kind of a mainstream idea.
Say that again.
Same third hucks are frowned upon.
Same third.
Same third isn't from 1/3 of hucking from a third of the field to the same third. Okay. And that's
I've never heard that expression before.
Okay. Well, in general, like that's a mainstream idea. That's not a crazy Frank conspiracy theory. That's just like, pretty well agreed upon. Yet,
since when is this a new thing? So here's a field.
I'm young. I don't know.
Here's a field and here's a thrower, a same third huck. And so the field, let me just dot lines here. So we've got thirds or thirds are this way.
This way, yeah.
Vertical lines.
The most often you see it is like you're near the sideline and you throw it down the sideline.
That's fucking insane. Same third hucks are almost all my hucks are same third hucks. Almost like virtually every one of them.
Okay. But
every one of them.
Again, we're talking about, disparate values here, but like,
I don't tell me what Ultimate players' real values are that are not results oriented. I don't know.
But you hear what I'm
go
saying.
ahead. Yeah.
We frown on same third hucks, but teams throw same third hucks. And you see this sometimes and you wonder, like, it does. I mean, I don't know that teams are actually trying to make it harder on themselves, but you think like, just don't throw that throw and things get a lot easier,
Same third huck's a hard throw.
No, I'm just saying in general. You see an Ultimate, you see a team, and you think, don't throw that throw, and it'd be a lot easier. You'd have a lot easier time scoring if you didn't choose to throw that, and you're choosing to throw it anyway.
I would say whatever the psychology is behind it, there's a tremendous amount of cognitive dissonance where they don't want to find out whether or not it has anything to do with Frank Huguenot or not, or dribbling or anything else. They don't want to find out that there's a system that violates that internal belief, that there's a sense of urgency and struggle. And we have to, this is combat, baby. I don't know if that's because they think it's football or what the mentality is, but there's cognitive dissonance. They do not want to know that they've been living a lie, but that's what cognitive dissonance is anyway. Let me hit the play button. Sure. There's a huck.
Watch Rhino's offense.
Oh, this will be fun.
No.
If you can't talk smack, you might as well put a gun to your head.
I've been saying that for years.
I know. Well, it's against the spirit of the game to say that. The ideology of the game. Okay. I don't know what's with the camera angle. Get me a bird's eye, please. There we go. All right. I mean, la-di-da. What I might do here, I mean, certainly I would be hip to hip with this guy.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
What the fuck's this? I mean, that's got to be over 20 yards.
Yeah. Well, this is to me an interesting instance of, like, you talk about dictating tempo, and a criticism I think you've said before is so often the offense allows the defense to dictate what's happening as opposed to the other way around.
That's correct.
But
that goes back to the psychology.
Right. But this is an instance here, this freeze frame, the defense is begging you to do something and you're refusing to do it. Right.
Well, let's see what happens. But anyway, if it were me, I mean, I would just dribble here.
Sure.
What I would do is probably dribble and get it back. I would want this guy to fade to give me backfield support and to stay out of my way. But definitely I need a big part of the dribbling paradigm is having backfield support.
Yes.
The idea that you've got all the players upfield of you it just makes it harder. But then what I'm going to do most likely is going to do a pivot dribble to this guy.
So what is orange hat here? As the center handler.
This orange hat?
No, the guy you're.
Oh, this
talking
guy.
about pivot
Yeah.
dribbling to, yeah. As you're the center handler is going to dribble towards the backhand sideline.
Right.
What is orange hat doing as that's happening? Getting ready to receive the next dribble.
This defender. Yeah. So Joe, what is this defender going to do as the dribble goes this way?
Well, I mean, I think he's going to respond a little bit. I assume the guy in the orange hat, the far.
I mean, the line of scrimmage now is here.
Right.
So right now he's on the line of scrimmage. Now he's way behind. In defense, you don't want to be that far behind the line of scrimmage, right? Yes, no, maybe. I mean, that might be a coach's decision or a team strategy. Okay, we're going to do this.
Okay.
But generally, this guy is going to drift with the play. Meanwhile, what I want orange hat to do here is drift. You're going to have this backfield support here, and then this backfield. So if I want to, and by the way, so let's say he is here, and I do a dribble this way. I do a lot of that. I do a lot of negative dribbling where I'm actually dribbling completely in the opposite direction of the attacking end zone.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can imagine, there's also a pick and roll, a really good pick and roll potential here. Let me clean off the board.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be a way to do that. Sorry, I'll learn it by next time.
Yeah.
So let me show you a pick and roll. A legal pick and roll. I ask people what they think about running picks and ultimate. Oh, that's against the spirit of the game. Well, it's actually in the rules. You've got, as you well know, you've got 9 feet 10 inches. Anything outside of 9 feet 10 inches is legal for a pick. So it's in the rules, baby. Don't give me any shit about spirit or ideology. I'm play by the rules. So the markers here, you run a dribble here. This guy, if you do it right, and this guy's almost too far off to do it right. In fact, I might have to cut up this way just to force the issue. But what you want to happen, and let's say maybe let's do this. There's Sal Yannick playing pretend defense. So the pick and roll is, let me see if I can just do this. You want to run this way such that you pick up, that you intentionally like a pick and roll in basketball, when it's done right, it forces a switch, which is what you want. You want the center picking up the point guard or whatever.
Right. So
by running this way, you intentionally want to force this guy to pick you up. All right. So now, and then this, your marker is there, and the guy's defender's there. So now you're covered by 2 people, right? Right here, you've got the disc. You've got this guy who is cheating so far off. It's a completely legal pick. It's way outside of 9 feet 10 inches, right. and you've got your defender now. And then let's see what's happening here. Then you dish it back to this guy, and you roll. And when you roll, both of the defenders, the initial defender is going to think that this guy picked him up, and this guy picked him up, said, no, that's your guy. No, that's you guy. Hey, motherfucker, cover him. No, that was your guy. So while they're arguing, this throws a lift, So it's a pick and a roll, and it's completely legal.
And I mean, you're talking about, the communication or lack thereof with the defenders, and I guess
you're counting on it.
The
You're
whole
you're manufacturing it.
but the whole idea, I assume, is that like, as whether or not that switch happens, as it's happening, the defense is softer. Is that the idea? Is that part of the idea?
Everything I'm doing, if I cut here and then dribble backwards, everything I'm doing is softening up the defense constantly.
Right. Okay.
So the answer is yes. If I can force them to switch, that's going to cause softness. I mean, I don't know if you can make softness a softening up the defensive value, but it's absolutely a value. I mean, which is part of the awareness, balance, efficiency.
But it's all part of dictating tempo. I mean, softening up the defense is a necessary consequence of dictating tempo.
Right, but that would be a result.
Yeah. But I mean, you don't necessarily have to value softening up the defense, because it's going to happen if you dictate tempo.
Which is why when you're asking me about scoring, it's like, that's a result. Don't worry about results.
No, I get it. I mean, I get it. And we can get back to that later if you want. But
No. I don't know if I ever answered that question satisfactorily, but I guess I have. All right, I'm going to hit the play button because travel, and that was a horrible throw. This is the national, and what was something was called, and we're going to have a little discussion. And excuse me, I got a question. What the hell is this? What is that? I don't understand what that human being is. Can someone explain that to me? What's the guy wearing a green shirt out there for?
well, he normally wears orange, but Ring of Fire is taking the orange.
Oh, is that what happened? No, that's not my question.
So green is their secondary color. I know.
That's not Mitch, is it?
I don't think so. No.
It doesn't quite look like him, but Mitch Dengler is. I had Mitch Dengler on the podcast Sunday night. He's a first century biblical scholar. I mean, Mitch needs to go. And you know who needs to go? I call right now immediately for the resignation of Tom Crawford. He's gotten $1.5 million we've paid him. And this is what the result is. Resign, Crawford. You suck.
But here's talking about Mitch Dengler it seems to miss the point. Like, getting rid of Mitch Dengler doesn't do anything.
Oh, I know.
Right?
No. Mitch Dengler is not a person. He's a concept.
I mean, Mitch Dengler is operating.
He represents. Well, he's a high priest of spirit. I mean, he's the karma police. Like
but isn't that what he's being asked to do? Like, he's doing his job.
Well, no, the entire concept of Mitch Dengler needs to go. Not Mitch. Mitch is I like Mitch as a guy. I mean, but the concept of the whole concept, it needs to be abolished.
I get that.
If I had to go a day without talking smack, I don't know if I'd make it to the end of the day. We're gonna watch this all over again. I believe there was a travel here, and if there wasn't, and as a matter of fact, it's a good time to make a small point. That was a travel. Why was it a travel? Was he balanced? The answer is obviously no.
He certainly wasn't when he threw. Yeah.
Right. I think he traveled. It doesn't matter. But the point is if you value balance, you don't travel. You just would never travel.
Because traveling isn't an advantage. If you're trying to stay balanced, then
but if you're balanced, if you have all your weight on your pivot foot, it's almost impossible to travel.
But clearly he's not valuing balance here. And if he traveled, it might have offered him advantage. He was able to reach out farther.
And
if you're not trying to reach out, then
it's a crap throw. Let's count how many steps this receiver takes before he establishes a pivot foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that's only 5. You have a real competitive sport with an ambiguity in the rules of as many steps as it takes, or as quickly as possible. 3 steps.
I don't know.
Period.
See, you may be contradicting yourself here.
How's that? I've never done that before. That was a travel. Again, we're with the, just fade, provide backfield support. And if he provides backfield support, you open up this lane. What was the contradiction?
You said, this is a real competitive sport that has this ambiguity in the rules.
I said if it wants to be a competitive sport, you can't. Yeah.
No.
Like the reason they hired Crawford was to get ultimate in the Olympics. It's not a competitive sport.
Yeah. You can't have it both ways. No.
It's competitive cultural Marxism. Who wins? The person who's the most politically correct? I mean, this is a joke to call this competition. How are we doing here? All right. Very inefficient, blah, blah, blah. Oh, did he? Oh my God. This is the semifinals of the national championship, people. I know. It's
That's their center handler.
What, the disc right now? Or the guy who threw that throw away?
The guy who threw the turnover.
That's a horrible throw. He just pivoted away from the guy. Show some love, man. Now he's getting back to him. That's unbelievable. This is the I don't know if I mentioned this. This is the semifinals of the national championship of a sport that's been around 53 years. It's unbelievably mediocre. He pivoted blind. I'm just going to talk now because I think you guys get the hang of it. Show some love, square your hips. The guy in the backfield should be square. Why are you turning upfield, buddy? You think you're good? You're not. I don't even know who you are, and I don't care. That almost looked like a give go. That guy's traveling. Someone's wide open because that guy's poaching. There we go. Okay, celebrate, baby. Come on, give it to me. Oh, hey, that was a little demure. Excellent. All right. What's happening here? Oh, is this replays? Wow, yeah. Replays. That's awesome. Keys to the game. Wait a second. Here we go. There's some values. Trust playmakers. You know what? There's not other than Frank Huguenard, there's not a single playmaker in the entire world of ultimate frisbee players. Don't kid yourselves. You got to just playmaker. You don't even know what the word playmaker means.
Right. Playmaker does have a different meaning seemingly in ultimate than in something like basketball.
I
mean, in the way it's used, I mean, right or wrong, I'm just saying that like the way we talk about playmakers in ultimate is not the way we talk about playmakers in other sports.
Well, no, I actually don't know. I've never seen it used before, but they're just what do they call it here? The power rankings isn't used the way it is in other sports. Power ranking is actually used in other sports. In Ulti World, they do power rankings as a way of self-masturbation. So it's definitely used differently in Ultimate. And so there's a whole lot of lingo and nomenclature in Ultimate that's different, but there's no playmakers. There's no playmaking at all. There's not a player out there who makes any plays ever. Mm-hmm. Sorry about that. Play with poise, grind it out. Are these values? Don't get cute. Play with poise and grind it out. And grind it out goes back to the psychology.
Sure.
The struggle. This is, yeah. Play with poise. Okay. There's nothing new under the sun. I mean, we can go through this ad nauseum, but we can do it quicker now. And I think people can just observe. He's going to pivot blind, no one open. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps. That's a travel. That should be illegal. He just stepped out of bounds. Oh, here's that guy. Terrence travels all the time. He just traveled and threw it away. Terrence is not a national caliber championship player. This is a joke. High release flick, pivot downfield, blind. This is never going to get old. Pivot down, blind. I mean, what is the value system? Is there one? And that might be
trust in their playmakers.
That's not. No one made a play there. In fact, that's unbelievably. Oh, what's that? He just put he's like a dog. This is the Dogs and Basket podcast. He just made homage to my podcast. I'm gonna have to put that. That's my new logo. Okay. let's see. I think we're ready to go here. It's 2-1. Rhino's winning. They might win this game. I want to see Sal Yannick more.
You'll
He's
have that
really-
opportunity.
Sal is the best player in the world. I love Sal. He's a good guy. He's a upstanding. You know what he is? He's classy.
That's good.
Actually, he's neither classy nor a good player.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
well,
fooled me.
He's fooled a lot of people. That's a trouble.
I said you fooled me.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to be nice.
Yeah, but not for too long.
Well, no, you can email me if you want to get on the podcast or have a recommendation. Just email it fuckoffsaul@gmail.com. They got tons of backfield to support you're not using. I like the way they wait until the clock is like at 6 or 7 before they even look for the backfield support.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, you've talked a bit about the whole, is it a play-based sport or not?
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, that kind of discrepancy, that kind of contradiction. I think a lot of this,
It's
it seems-
fascinating.
it seems kind of chalked up to the fact that it is largely played as a play-based sport. I mean,
It's fascinating.
in football, you never hike the ball and plan on losing 3 yards. That's never a good play to lose 3 yards in football, right?
Yeah. Well, but the paradigm's a little different because in order to get another an ultimate, you only get
Right.
another set of 1 down. The
But I mean,
qualifier for us, for accomplishing that's different.
but I mean, even in football,
wait, that is Stengler. I
yeah.
love Mitch. Mitch is a good guy. He's a good guy.
Okay.
Anyway, what's your question about the
No, that's
play-based?
okay. Well, I'm just thinking, like, if you live in a play-based sport, then you're trying to maximize every play. So every time you catch the disc, you're trying to figure out, how can I take full advantage of this play that I've been given, the play that I'm about to execute, right? And then somebody else catches it.
Hey, there's Mike Denardis. I got lost because I was thinking like Frank Huguenard. I'm sorry. In other words, thinking about how I play it.
Right. But I mean,
but yeah, correct. What you're saying is absolutely correct, because this is a fascinating thing to me, that Irv, when he made the game, had this meme, like no one knew that this was a play-based sport until I interviewed Irv.
mhm.
And yet it's played like a play-based sport. And that's fascinating because the rules actually lend themselves to a possession, a dynamic sport. I forget what the option is.
But wouldn't you say, I mean, it shouldn't be played like a play-based sport?
No, absolutely
that's part of
not.
the problem. So,
Right.
I mean, I think that is I mean, maybe it's a cause or just an explanation of a lot of what's going on, you know?
But it's fascinating that it is, because what the hell's that? What was that? I'm sorry, I just think that's goofy. I think it's fascinating that it's played, that Irv kind of had this meme, and no one knew about this meme until a couple of years ago when I interviewed him. And by the way, I did play with Irv back in the early 80s, back in the Bay Area. Played with and against him, so I know who the guy is. But until I interviewed him a couple of years ago, my question was, and I just felt sick to I wanted to vomit, because I knew in a nanosecond, oh fuck, no, please. I said, why is it illegal to hit the disc out of the thrower's hands?
Because the throw hasn't happened.
And he said that, and he said it so matter of fact, and like, why are you asking me that?
Right.
Like,
I mean, because that,
and I, in an instant, I was like, oh, you fucking idiot. You didn't.
to him, maybe not to him, but I mean, you could say it's the same question as asking, why is it illegal for the defense to run and grab the football before it gets snapped? Right.
Something. Yeah. Right.
I mean, because we're
Right, it's
between
just
plays, like it's not live, as if the disc isn't live between play is paused.
Right. So it's a perfect analogy. And for him, because there is no archive of, which, would kind of help it. Like, we should actually know what the intentions were behind the rules. Why are picks illegal? Because they play it on a blacktop. It's not, and that's a good thing. Like, we should know that he's going to turn blind upfield. He's got 3 guys behind him, and that's just so inefficient. La 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 la. I mean, I hope people watching this are watching it a little bit more through my eyes than, previously, because they can see almost every catch. How can I say this politely? Certainly every catch, that's a travel. Every catch is basically 180 degrees opposite of what would be happening in my offense. Oh, nice celebration, dude. Really? Yeah. Who is that guy? Let's see your name so I can call you out. Is there a travel called? There should have been, because it was. The worst thing, you may have heard me mention this, the worst freaking thing is when there's a legitimate travel and it's called, watch this travel. That's why you have to have 3 steps. You can't have just this arbitrary, how do you defend against something like that? But the worst is when Dengler did it. See, Dengler pulled a Dengler here. You can't overrule a legitimate travel call. It's the worst artifact of the ugliness that a player. That was a completely legitimate travel call. Now, and the guy called it. Are you going to show it again? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and that's a travel. That's absolutely travel. It was called travel by the player on the field, and the frickin' observers overruled the call. There's nothing. That's the most insane thing about the sport. Unbelievable. Like, that was
what's the artifact of ultimate ugliness? You're saying
that there was observers. But then that an observer observers. So the UPA had 2 choices: look at the core cause of why ugliness happened and actually cure the root cause, or sprinkle another layer of karma police onto the game to try to eliminate the discord. So here you've got a completely legitimate travel call, and the observer overrules it, and so the team who made an illegal throw for a score got called for it. The player on the field made a completely legitimate travel call, and it got overruled, and they scored.
Right.
That makes me sick to my stomach. That's like, hey, Crawford, fucking resign right now. This is a disgrace. You're a disgrace. 1.5 million. I think we've paid him almost $2 million now, and this is the result. And pivot upfield, la la la. La 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 la. Oh, look at that. That almost was a dribble. He just defended his own team's throw. La la la. I think I've had enough. You can't imagine how hard how hard it is for Frank Hugener to watch this. Oh, watch a called foul. Come on, call it. Oh, you didn't call it? Excellent. Now, what's that observer doing with his fingers? That's sarcasm. That was travel on the throw, by the way. Pivot upfield, blind. That's good. It's so urgent, and you're so manly. You're so manly. That's awesome. This is, by the way, I don't know if you guys know this. This is actually the semifinal in the national championship of Ultimate Frisbee, and I've seen grade schoolers play with better skills than this. Pivot blind. Come on, man. Show some love. I love you. No, I love you. Thanks for throwing. Thanks for catching. No, thank you. This is so. There was a really good spoof God, it must be 10, 15 years ago on YouTube.
Mhm.
That was a travel. Pretty sure that was a travel. Where I think I show it again. I don't care. It's a travel. So it was a college campus, and so the spoof was spoofing on how intense Ultimate players were. You've ever seen that?
No.
I mean, it's perfect. It's exactly what we're talking about. These guys are a little more how should I say, reserved in their intensity. The intensity's there. The style they play is all this intense, urgency and struggle. Why are there coaches in this game at all? Do these teams even practice?
I think they do.
As Malcolm Gladwell said, it's not practice, it's intentional practice. And I can't imagine what the intentions are behind their practices. I mean, like there has to be values, that there's no discernible values there at all, other than the value. I mean, they value intensity and manliness.
Grinding it out.
Wait, is manliness a result or a value? Grinding it out's definitely manly.
Yeah.
That's a bar up in San Francisco, the Grind It Out bar.
Okay.
Wait, what did I say?
Something.
I mean, you guys are watching what I'm seeing here, right? Every single catch they do. I mean, it's nuts.
Yeah.
They do the wrong. They literally do a fundamentally wrong thing. I mean, not every, like you're going to get. That's a nice D. And what? What was the observer doing there? Anyway, there's 1 out of 50 is going to be a quick release because the play kind of dictated it, like that one. But
yeah.
But even then, he just fouled the marker. Lefty throw, very nice. Pivot away.
Yeah.
I mean, virtually every catch is. I mean, what do you think the average time of possession is? You know what that means?
For each touch of the disc.
Yeah. It's got to be 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And then you add to that their throwing completion percentage is 80 or 90. It's not that high. So they have as a team, Ring of Fire has a player efficiency rating of about 0.25. I mean, it's horrible.
So do you think, if your goal is to
revolutionize science, we need to get rid of scientific materialism. It's the wrong model for life. But what's your question?
Until then,
I have this big bet with a professor in Boone, by the way, of which I revolutionized first, Ultimate Frisbee or science. My money's on science.
My money's on neither.
Well, it's a joke. It's like both of them are stuck in ideologies, and this is why the episode with the preacher on what used to be a preacher on Sunday is so absolutely relevant to Ultimate Frisbee.
Mm-hmm.
I know people are going to love this because it's Ultimate. We were talking, but it's all the same. Like the argument I had on Sunday night with this professor is the same exact argument I've had with Ultimate Frisbee players, except changing a word here or there.
Right.
What were you asking? Something?
Yeah. If in your offense, time of possession, which we just talked about, is very low. Average time of possession, max time of possession, I assume, is very low.
No, there's no max. There's no rules. But you want.
No, I don't mean max. I just mean like if you record
mean time is the possession or something.
The single possession that is the longest is going to be pretty low.
Well, it'll get, sometimes it gets up there. That was a traveling violation.
So my question is, something, you have 10 seconds. That's a part of the rules, the stall count and everything like that.
Right.
I would guess that within your offense, that's not really something that means much. You're not really concerned with 10 seconds because you're not trying to throw before 10 seconds. You're not trying to throw before you get stalled. That's not really part of the equation. Is that true?
I rarely get stalled.
Sure.
No one ever gets stalled. It's not really part of our calculus.
I wonder, Mike, do you think you talk about changing the rules?
That's a travel. That was a travel.
You in general, you'd rather rules favor the more skillful team,
of course,
right? The team that's so would it be better to change the stall so that after 3 seconds it's a turnover, or change the stall, just get rid of it? That you can
a 35-second shot clock.
Yeah.
Something like that.
You think a 35
24 is too low, and maybe 35 is even too low. But yeah, if you abolished it and just had it would be, it'd require game management. But yeah, individual shot clock is kind of goofy. But I have, in all honesty, I have it in disc hoops. It's 5, and but you can reset the stall count on a self throw.
Right.
It's pretty good in disc hoops. It's an odd, and by the way, that also goes back to play based.
Yeah.
That's completely a play based idea. You have
a new timer starting every play.
Right. Makes complete sense.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just thinking disc hoops. A 24-second shot clock in disc hoops would be almost high. But so that's sort of my reference frame or my reference speakers. That would be an improvement in disc hoops. I'm not going to lie. Ultimate's kind of weird because Ultimate's a weird sport.
Yeah. And from a practical sense, it's like it's easy to in a game of disc hoops, it's easy to have somebody count to 5 every time somebody catches the disc. It's a little harder to have somebody count to 24 for an entire possession. You actually need somebody timing it. Just it's a little.
Oh, we have refs in Ultimate, and in disc hoops.
That also makes it a little just makes it a little harder to play, right? You want to play a pickup game of disc hoops. Well, not only do you need the players, but now you need the refs too.
That's not been my experience. My experience is trying to convince Ultimate players that they're addicted to methadone.
I understand,
and I've got the real thing, and but no, it's never been an issue. And in fact, Joe, when you play, I don't care which, but disc hoops versus Ultimate or Ultimate even, real referees are such a friggin' luxury. That it's worth it to that's my experience. I get what your point is.
Yeah, I like in basketball has real refs, right? But what percentage of basketball games actually have a ref? An enormous amount of basketball games are played at the YMCA that there is no ref, obviously.
Right, and no shot clock
pickup games. Yeah, they're just playing. So like they're.
Well, no, okay. Let me think for a second. Trying to think of disc, because basketball is a weird comparison because you've got a gold standard for people to observe, and they understand what real basketball is.
Yeah,
that they can watch or they've played with the structure, and the rules are very balanced between risk and reward. All that's been sorted out for 100 years, and so pickup is much better behaved, but there's no real shot clock. I'm trying to imagine what disc hoops. Oh, let's watch Terrence travel. There he is. Guy dances a jig every time he catches a disc. Terrence, you suck. Well, he does. He's got beautiful hair, though. I wish I had hair like that.
Me too.
It's hard for me to imagine yeah, come on, guys. Oh yeah, you were so awesome, Fisher. You're the greatest. Oh yeah, bring it. Yeah, you're great. You suck. Travel. Disc hoops, I would have to think about that. I mean, it's worth actually just trying it, although I haven't played disc hoops in a while. But you can get in disc hoops, you can, because disc hoops is not a play-based sport at all. You can probably chuck
Right.
the stall count in disc hoops. That's interesting. I never thought of it.
I mean, it goes back to, talking about kind of the ideal version of basketball being with a shot clock and refs, but obviously pickup games aren't played that way. Okay. Well, it kind of goes back to the fact that Ultimate was designed to be played in a parking lot. Obviously they didn't have a shot clock. Obviously they didn't have refs because
in all, by the time Irv canonized the rules in the early 70s, it was a university sport. That's a travel. Another travel one more time for me. That's pretty close. By the time they really got codified, they were playing on grass, but they didn't, even by then they probably would have already forgotten. Oh, he got a little boo-boo. I mean, you know how many injuries happen in a motion offense? Relatively speaking, like zero. When you're playing with all this intensity and manly urgency, you're going to get a lot of boo-boos.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thought. Come on, man. I like what we do in disc hoops with injuries. You don't do this. You do it like soccer. If the guy's really hurt, you kick it out of bounds, and then you get the courtesy inbounds by the other team. But if it's a grass burn, you don't get to stop the defense from converting to offense and running a score.
See, I've always thought that interesting in soccer. I don't watch a lot of soccer, but
it is classy.
Yeah, and it's like, does that also happen in a tie game in the 6 minutes of stoppage time? Do they still give the courtesy inbounds in that situation? Or
they would absolutely give the courtesy inbounds. The question is would they do that? Would they intentionally kick it out of? Yeah. But if there's they know what the difference between someone flopping and not flopping.
Yeah.
So if someone's really hurt and they're anguish and agony on the ground, they'll kick it out of bounds. It's one of the classiest things in sports.
It's not in the rules at all, I assume.
No, it's total etiquette.
All right.
And it's not mandatory. It's just wow, these guys, that was great. Is this this is the semifinals of the national championship. I call right now for Tom Crawford to resign immediately. And you know who would be a good president of the UPA? Would.
Don't make me blush.
I could fix this game overnight.
Yeah.
It would be so easy. We've paid him $1.6 million. I would have done it for $10, idiots. At the end of the day, you go into the bar and you say, I play ultimate frisbee, and you're asked one of two questions. Oh, is that the game with the baskets, or is that the thing with the dogs? Or is that an incomplete pass? This is not, every layout is an end result of a mediocre throw. There's Jack Williams. Nice bid there, Jack. We don't need to watch this guy drink his water. I mean, I don't know. I know this is getting old. It's fun though, Joe. I'm really glad we're doing this. I think there's going to be a tremendous amount of value in the community, especially when Crawford resigns.
Yeah.
Pivot upfield. Oh, excellent. Thank you. Okay. Pivot the other way. Oh, that's good. You guys are so good. Well trained. Pivot upfield. Pivot upfield. Pivot to the other side. Excellent. Pivot to the other side. Oh, you're good. That he traveled, buddy. Pivot upfield. It surprises me when they pivot upfield. Just never. It's shocking. I mean, it's sort of how we started off, Joe. It's, fast forward this. Oh, it must be halftime or some stupid shit. Oh, we're doing replays. Come on, Charlotte, you can do better than this. Oh, how about some virtue signaling ultimate frisbee? This is gross. Crawford, resign. 50 years and still mediocre. This is, Marxism, cultural Marxism in the Olympics. Hey, there's Denardis. Hey, Mike. Yeah, you suck and Ring sucks, but that's a cute hat. I want one of those hats.
Maybe you can get.
Wait, Mike, but do you see Mike just winked? Come on, Mike, you can do better than that. What is this? National Championships, men's highlights. Yay. The hell? Is this game over or is it halftime? Oh, here we go. What's he going to do next? Let's play the little game. What's he going to do next? What's he going to do next? Let's see.
Field.
Oh my God, he looked backwards.
Okay.
I would have lost that one. What's he going to do next? Pivot downfield. In what sport can you have this level of predictability? Is he going to throw the slider or the curveball? It's going to be the curveball. So how do we fix this mess? I could destroy it overnight.
Yeah.
Well, it would be 6 months and 20 guys.
Right.
I mean, this video is going to be useful. People are going to watch this and at least see what the hell goes on in the mind of Crazy Frank when he watches this elite ultimate. This isn't elite, by the way. Anyone who says this is elite is kidding themselves. This is a friggin' joke. I don't know, man. I don't know why am I even doing this decade after decade? I mean, this has just been the same thing over and over. Oh, but the players are so much better now than they were in the 80s. You're running the same offense.
Yeah.
Better at, you got better shirts, better looking girlfriends for sure, and you're more athletic and you're running the same boneheaded offense that have been people running for decades. What's he going to do? Oh, lay it out. Oh, he's going to call that a catch. No, dude, that hit the ground. Pivot upfield. What's he going to do? Oh, that is championship level ultimate.
Oh, gosh.
I remember watching this game in real time and calling one of the players a beta male, one of the Rhino players with a man bun or something, and I got scolded that I had gone too far. I mean, I did call him a beta male because of his because of the hair. It was he kept making weak calls. Cut underneath. Oh, that's the pick and roll right there. Did you see that? That's actually interesting.
Let's replay it.
I am. Let's see. Where am I? Oh, it'll be a minute. No, he kept just making. The discrepancy between what different players consider to be, the rules is still enormous. Right. Like there's no standard. And so this Rhino player was clearly playing by a different set of rules than everyone else. I forget who he was. If I recognize him, it could be this guy over there.
There we go.
I don't. Oh, did I miss it? Damn it.
Yeah.
That's not it. Is it? Oh, this could be it. Yeah, this is it. This is your pick and roll situation. So, it's funny now that we've gone through the 4 different prototypical, patterns or sequences. There's only like 3 or 4. Oh, we've got a new one here. So this is a total pick and roll. He's going to come here, run a dribble this way, pick up this guy as his defender, and be in a position where all he has to do is dish back and roll into the end zone for a pick and roll. He probably won't do that, but at least you can see that's what I'm saying is a pick and roll. And you can tell right now that if he were to do this, and he actually does do it, but he doesn't pull it off. But when he's here, there's exactly 9 feet, 10 inches, 3 meters. Anything outside of 3 meters is a legal pick. Da, 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 da. Oh, that was a really nice move. So see how the pick and roll works there? He got the pick, he got the switch is what a pick and roll always does.
Right.
This guy should, let's go with this. Oh, I don't want to do that. Throw underneath to him here. And then this guy should, at this point, he's going to be marked by both of the defenders, throw back to this guy, and then roll into the corner for a backhand lift for the score. I don't think that's what's going to happen. He's totally picked up that other guy. He's probably going to pivot downfield, right? So he's got that. That was gorgeous. A gorgeous move. Seriously, that was a very nice dribble caliber move. And he pivots down the field.
But also, before he even pivots down the field, the thrower in the backfield
killed it.
Right as he's throwing it, he's looking to move upfield.
Right. He should be fading. He should be providing backfield support. Fading.
Yeah. And he's walking into the defender that's switching onto him.
Yeah, he should be fading this way.
Yeah.
He should be clearing out and trying to bring the defender with him as much as possible. So that way, if the downfield pass isn't there, there's a penetration dribble move out here. Of course, there's no support here. You know what this is? That is PhD level offense, Mike Denardis. That looks like a stack. Unbelievable.
They're all stacked up in the center of the end zone.
It's what year is it? They implemented the stack. I was there for it. I started to see it in 94, 93, 94. It wasn't, there really was never a stack. And then it became the predominant offense for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
It's the dumbest offense in the history of the world in any sport.
But doesn't the advantage of, the vertical stack is that it's
easy to teach.
It's so simple.
It's so stupid.
All it is run as fast as you can to this big open space, and if you're open, then we'll throw it to you, and then we'll reset and do it again.
Well, the resetting part is bullshit. I rarely saw a team that was very efficient at and accomplished at random dynamically reconfiguring the field and restacking.
Mm-hmm.
It was sort of like after that initial play, then what?
Yeah.
It was easy to coach. I asked Idris Nolan once about it, and I'm talking about all these ideas. This is 20 years ago. I haven't really added too much, and I'm talking about all this triple threat and dribbling and all this. And and they won the national championship like a year or two after that. So that's the context I'm having this conversation. And he's like, Frank, look at these guys I have to work with.
Yeah, it seems to me that with with a vertical stack, we talk about how simple it is, but also it kind of is what it does is it gives advantage to people who are fast. It's based on athleticism, right? I mean, that's the idea, is you have this open space and you just isolate one-on-one against your defender, and then you know what I mean?
I haven't, well, sort of. I haven't played man on man since 1988. Because once you start dribbling, you realize man on man is just toast. And even though other teams weren't dribbling, I just always, my preferred defense is matchup zone, and matchup zone crushes a stack. Like people, you can't run a stack against a matchup zone.
Okay.
There is no isolation in one-on-one.
And I mean, then though, that gets back to, it's not just that a vert stack is easy to teach.
Oh, that's also, guy. That's whoever that is. That's the guy I call the beta male. It has nothing to do with his hair.
It's Rafi Hayes.
Oh, you know him.
Yeah.
He just kept making just a bunch of calls that were Portland calls for sure. They were kind of Antifa calls. Wait, what did
That's a specific type, there's a specific type of call in Ultimate.
An Antifa call?
Classified as the Antifa call.
Are you joking?
No, I mean, yes. There's no. This is just.
I was gonna say it has been in the most politically corrupt subculture. I don't know if you've heard this. I'm pretty sure that the only voting bloc in the country that vote further left in the LGBTQ plus community is the Ultimate Frisbee community. But yeah, it's called the Antifa call. When you make a bad call, because it's a bad call, and you consistently make them, and they're very soft, and they're just out of standard. Yeah, they're Antifa calls.
Yeah, but back to vert stack. If it's not just that a vert stack is easy to teach, but it also works well against defenses that are easy to teach, right?
Yeah.
Man-to-man defense is a very simple defense.
It is,
and vert stack works well against it. I mean, do you know what I mean? There's a call and response there.
That's kind of funny. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Why are there no throwing coaches? I'm a thrower, so when I coach, like, I teach how to throw. Because it's just confusing to me. And it goes back to what you're saying about the vert stack. Well, if you have players who don't really know how to throw this disc, I mean, the one thing that we have in common, that I have in common with everybody else, is this little piece of plastic. That's incredible. I mean, that's really what, like, you'd have to go out of your way to invent a game with this piece of plastic to screw it up as badly as they have. But no team, what are we seeing in this game? I'm not seeing any wizardry or mastery of, there's not a single player I'm interested in watching. It's like, oh, look what he did there. That's clever. There's nothing. It's unbelievably watered down, unrefined, kind of crude throwing. And that goes hand in hand with the vert stack kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is that Jack? Looks like Jack.
I believe that's Matt Johannes.
Oh. What just happened?
I don't know if this is a replay, maybe. I guess they scored.
I think I'm going to get firebombed. There's a riot breaking out in front of my house because of all my anti-Antifa rhetoric.
Oh, no.
I know.
Big Antifa group in Boone, North Carolina, huh?
Well, there will be now. It's a joke, people. Come on, lighten up. Humor. See again. That's an Antifa call. I mean, it's just totally an Antifa call. I mean, I mean, this is perfect because now I can get it. Okay, you're cutting and okay, you got the disc. Let's just break this down. You got the disc. What's he going to do? Oh, pivot upfield. Right now, he's got this guy. If this guy fades, he's got this guy. They're running up something that looks like a stacks, unfortunately, which makes his downfield pivot that much more fruitless. Let's go here. A couple of seconds, frames. I mean, this is just not an elite national championship caliber player. So, okay, now he's got this. He's the stall count. Look at this. What do you see?
Hip to hip.
Hip, not only hip to hip, the guy's just saying there, dude, I'm wide open. So this guy, Mr. Let's just call him Mr. Antifa, has got his eyes locked on some kind of huck, and he's got this guy wide open, which, you know, there's no backfield support. There should be, but granted, let's just go with what we have. The stall counts at 2 or 3 by now, but he's got a wide open thrower here, which he chooses. It's his choice not to take this, not to look at it, not to see it. All right. And then he doesn't throw it. Oh, now it's gone. Because he hadn't shown some love, you know, thank you for throwing. No, thank you for catching. No, really, thank you. Like when he first caught the disc and established both of these players in the backfield as viable, which they're completely not viable because he didn't establish them. He didn't communicate to the defense. Now he's stuck. Now he's he's painted himself into a corner. Is that a fair assessment?
Yeah.
I mean, it's incumbent on him.
He's limited his options.
He's eliminated them. He hasn't just limited them. At this point right now, he actually has no options.
Right.
I'm gonna that this is very hard for me to back up. Oh, good. This isn't bad. Do this again. Okay. Now show some love when you catch the disc. Bam. He hasn't even caught the disc yet, and his face is turned upfield. So obviously he can't show any love. But if all he does right here, what happens if he shows some love here and here?
Well,
And doesn't throw the disc.
If he's showing love, then his defender can't sell out to set the mark.
Yes, 100%.
That's all the defender's thinking about is setting the mark.
That was the correct answer to my question.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and that's the whole point of showing love. It's like you know, eye contact. Hey, we're on the same team. How's it going? Hey, you going to the party later? No, I got to go hang out with a friend, but maybe we can hang out tomorrow. Okay, all right, sweet, let's do that. You know, have some eye-to-eye communication here and then here, and that totally freezes this guy. But instead, he turns upfield. I mean, we know the drill. It's kind of, I know I'm beating a dead horse here, but it's important because what he does here at the end of this play, Mitch Dangler, he should be kicked out of the game. In fact, he should be kicked out of the tournament and kicked out of Ultimate Frisbee. Because what he does here, he's got a wide open guy there. I mean, look at that. That's even better than the first look. All he has to do is turn. This guy's got nobody anywhere near him. So he does have an option here, but
just a nice little backhand.
A lefty backhand, a lefty back, just a flick, or you know, I'm surprised how many push passes I've thrown the last few years. I like, you know, when things are going good, a push pass is actually the best option in some cases. Okay, so he's killed it. Now he's killed himself. That's on him, right? I mean, he had two options. He could have frozen his marker. He didn't. But he did pivot, and he had a guy wide open. So third option he killed, and we're going to just watch him struggle. And he can't figure out how to do this. And now he calls a foul. Yeah, I mean, to get my point, people, I'm sorry about making fun of the beta male and the Antifa and stuff, and I'll probably get some shit for that. But get my point here. Like, this is an extraordinarily mediocre player. He shouldn't be allowed to be able to bail himself out with a mediocre call because someone tapped him. He should have never allowed that to happen in the first place. That's my point. I'm going to get some big shit for that, but it's all funny. It's all good. It's all fun. Okay, let's get Mitch Dangler out there and they're going to have a conversation. Oh, no, you can't do that. This actually may have been the point where I called him a beta male in the comments of the live stream. Crawford, resign. Like, how do you take almost $2 million of our money and sleep at night with this? This is our national championship or semifinals, whatever. I mean, this is a disgrace.
Well, if you wanted to watch a good ultimate, we should have watched the finals, I guess.
No, I can't imagine that. I couldn't get that. I tried to download off the ESPN, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
But come on, the finals is going to be that was a joke, right? Your sense of humor's, yeah, right. I know we should have waited for that. You made my point. Yeah, we should. If only I waited, that would have been much better. This is every ultimate game at the national championships or any tournament for the last, 30 years. Okay, Joe, I think we've beaten this thoroughly into the ground. I hope people that, I know I'm a little larger than life and you call me crazy. Like, this is so, but hopefully if you can get through my rhetoric and my trash talk, you can make something out of this. This could effectively change the game overnight if enough people watch this and understand how different the game can be played by applying different values. Or actually, maybe I should just say applying some values. Because what's he going to do? Oh, he actually inverted the pivot. He still pivoted upfield. What's he going to do?
How do you define an inverted pivot?
Yeah, that's a tricky question because there are times on the field where it's an inverted pivot usually involves showing some love. In other words, that's kind of how you would recognize it. It would be pivoting. It's almost like it's not. It's sort of maybe an interim step. It's because you can't really invert the pivot and throw back to the thrower. But it's the pivot that you would make if you caught the disc. See, you can see it on every one of these.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, I want to rewind that and get that one. If all he does is pivot in a way such that there's eye contact with the guy who threw it to him just for a second, that would be an inverted pivot. So you can see none of these are inverted. Oh, that one actually was sort of inverted. It went back to but there was no eye contact.
Right.
That guy's traveling like crazy.
Yeah, I mean a lot.
So that was an inverted pivot right there. That was good.
Yeah. But
there are special cases, which is why it's a hard thing. Normally, 95% of the time, one definition of what an inverted pivot would work, but it's not a correct definition because of special cases. So this is better. If you pivot in a way where you're showing love to the thrower, and making the defense know that's a viability.
Yeah. But I mean, there are a lot of throws where, and maybe these throws the throws are the problem, but there are a lot of throws and catches in which that's not.
That is a world-class throw right there. Oh, I think we're not going to get a foul, are we? I'm sorry. That's what we got a new name for those calls in Ultimate Frisbee. You know what it is? I think
Is that the NC football?
hey, come on, man. hey. I think that Dangler actually may overrule this, but that even if it was overruled, no, it's not overruled. How is that? I mean, you tell me. You tell me. I mean, come on. It's a garbage throw.
So we've mentioned here, you've mentioned the enormous discrepancy in
standards.
the allowable level of contact, what people are okay with, what dictates a foul.
Right.
So
and this guy here is saying that he had verticality. This guy's saying he was just saying, hey man, I jumped straight up. And actually it's true, because this guy, I think his name, jumped backwards into the disc, which is a true statement.
Oh.
And it was a garbage throw. I mean,
yeah.
Like a real referee would factor that in. Like, come on, get that shit out of here. If you guys can't, this is the national championship. If you can't throw a decent throw, we're not going to reward you with, a bailout. So? Absolutely.
I mean, I feel like in football, that's something that's planned around, is kind of a bailout pass interference. Just throw it deep and maybe draw a pass interference. That's a thing.
That is a thing. This wasn't that.
Sure, but that's
not. No, I didn't. I make that mistake a lot. I should learn from my interview on Sunday to not do that, because it's just Frank being Frank, and it's just sort of like, don't say that. That's not helping. I would, if I'm a ref, and I've refed in disc hoops, you learn 4 things when in disc hoops with refs that are awesome. They're a freaking luxury. It's really hard to do, and to do well. And working the ref is a natural part of any sport, except in AUDL, the players are not allowed to talk to the refs. Who's this guy's name? Stephen Hill or something, the commissioner. He's a Winter League player. You can't talk. You can't. AUDL is the only sport in the world with refs that you can't work the refs. But working the refs is part of the game. So, if you miss a call and the players are like, that was in trial, that's a very organic part of reffing. And then you quickly realize the difference between a good ref and a bad ref. Oh, I'm glad Dan Snyder's reffing again. Like Dan Snyder ref for high school basketball or something. And then you get someone who's just in there. And so you really can discern a good ref, because they're on luxury. And then the fourth thing is the most important function of a ref is game management.
Right.
How long do you let that player, how long do you let Draymond Green go before he gets that, you tee him up for a second time? Because you want the game to be fun and competitive. You don't want to eject him, but he's really pushing you, and
you can't let things get out of control, right?
Right. But you want it to be a little out of control. Sure. You want it to be hotly contested, but not too hotly. So that game management, and of course, none of those things are an ultimate but if I'm reffing this guy and he's made all the other calls that he's made, and he makes this call or whatever, I mean, in a ref sport, you wouldn't call it, but I mean, just look at the play again in its completeness. Oh, I rewound it too much. I mean, it's a shitty play. I mean, where should he be going? Right here.
Yeah.
For the backfield support. I mean, it's insane what he's doing here, based on everything else that I've talked about, the paradigm that I'm trying to teach. you've got, let me see if I can try to diagram this stuff. It's going to be hard, but you've got, your structure, your cell, your single cell organism here. You've got one here, you got one here. Let's see, they certainly got this guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you got 7 players. The entire emphasis on the offense should be establishing a presence with all your players. It looks a little weird because it's inverted, but it's the same principle that the rest of everything I've talked about is, which is trying to be hip to hip with as many players as you can. Dictating right. I mean, so that's it. It's very strange to think of at this point on the field that you're going to be dictating tempo, because look at the advantage, right? I mean, that's going to be the cliche. Come on, Frank, all they have is one more receiver, one more thing. So they're not dictating tempo. This player who calls a foul, he's not doing anything pretty supportive to the offense. He's just cutting. He should be cutting here. Instead, he tries to beat this guy, and he doesn't. Let me erase all this. There's got to be a mass eraser.
Yeah,
I'll figure it out next week. This has been really fun. So what's he? Oh, there I did. I keep painting my play button. I mean, that's a crap throw. It's not your I haven't given you a good answer to your pass interference question. Maybe I don't have one.
I mean, yeah, it's just, because the claim you made was that, a good ref is going to take into consideration the fact that it's a bad pass.
Yes.
And maybe, I don't know, maybe that's true. But
in football, and that's why I kind of said this isn't that. And in football, I think they would do that too. Normally on the play you're talking about in football, it isn't a bad pass. It's a good pass.
But a lot of the times
it's into a crowd of people. This is a crap throw.
It's a bad throw, but a lot of times in football, you have a receiver going deep, a defender a step behind them. The obvious place to put the ball is in front of the receiver, yet the quarterback underthrows the receiver. The receiver's coming back to the ball, and the defender, goes through the receiver, and the pass interference is called. It's a bad throw, right? A better throw. I mean, the guy's open. A better throw is in front of him.
There's no doubt that I can see that happening.
Mm-hmm. And maybe,
but I would say, but in that case, I mean, so you've got guardrails there, and the I guess that's the problem. There's no guardrails there. At least in the thing you're describing, the guardrails are there, and the quarterback is playing chess, and he's intentionally using the guardrails to his advantage. In this case, this player, there are no guardrails, and this player uses the lack of guardrails to his advantage. That's the difference.
One thing that happens is, in this situation that I'm describing, one thing that's necessary is that the defender is beat, right? If the defender isn't beat, then he doesn't run through he's able to turn his head and make a play, right? If he's step for step. Now I'm talking about in football, right?
Oh, right.
If the defender isn't beat, then the pass interference doesn't happen. But he is beat, so the underthrow causes him he's just trying to catch up. He's not playing the ball. He's just trying to catch up. And that's what causes the pass interference. Okay. So at least in that situation, it only happens when the receiver already has an advantage. Okay. Now this throw, obviously the throw's already gone up, but this isn't the freeze frame we're on right now. There's no argument that the offense has the advantage here.
The offense does?
No, there's no argument that they do. I'm saying they don't.
Oh.
clearly the
Right.
offense isn't in an advantageous position. That like you're looking here and thinking, oh well, this should be a
Right.
score. This should be an easy score.
Oh, right.
They've given up.
You right. You actually know what the result is here. Everyone knows what the result is. It's going to be not just a turnover. The result. I've been doing this for 40 years. The result is a bogus foul call. I knew that.
But I mean, so there are bailout foul calls, but there are also bailout fouls, right? I mean, in this case, maybe like in this case, it's a ticky-tack foul and he shouldn't have called it. But there are plenty of times where this same situation and the receiver gets clobbered, right? He didn't have an advantage. It's a terrible throw by the receiver, but the defender didn't know what he was doing and, actually fouled the offensive player. And that's a bailout foul, right?
Right. I think the way I framed it, I liked. The description you're talking about in football is where the quarterback utilizes the guardrails and uses them to his advantage. In this play, number 17 utilizes the lack of guardrails to his advantage. That's the whole point.
Obviously, the thrower here isn't
utilizing
guardrail. This isn't at all what he's trying to do. He's trying to,
right. If he, and this goes back to no one teaches players how to throw the disc. A simple air bounce instead of, that air bounce, let's say it's 12 feet off the ground. It should have been this is the national championship of a sport that's been around 50 years. Every player on these teams should know how to throw a regular air bounce. Thanks. Look how bad this air bounce is. The thing goes up 15 feet up in the air. That's at least 15 feet.
Yeah.
That's a layup. That's the whole thing. This is a layup. It should have been a layup. A nice little air bounce is out in front of 17 and there's no foul called. It's a horrible throw. And then there's no foul there whatsoever. This is horrible. Sorry for all the Antifa jokes for all you Antifa lovers out there. I was just joking. Or as for beta males, that's a whole different story. It's been this way for decades. It's a lack of standardization, and there's patterns. You just see certain players making the same standard of calls, let's say, over and over again. And it's like, oh man, him again. This is not anybody's fault. If it's anybody's fault, it's Irv Kalb's fault. It's an ideology that started 50 years ago. And it has, I know people are probably sick and tired of me using the word ideology. The ideology of ultimate punishes excellence and rewards mediocrity. It's a mediocrity.
And to the point around a game built for fun, doesn't that make sense? If you're just trying to have a fun game, then
absolutely
that makes sense.
But don't hire Crawford to spend $2 million.
Right. You can't have it both ways.
You can't have it both ways. That's the whole thing.
There's nothing wrong with games that are built for fun, but you can't try to get them to the Olympics.
I'm not sure if that's true.
Oh, come on.
What's a game that's built for fun that I like to play? I mean, I like snowboarding or golf.
Oh, well, neither one of those are fun.
Golf is. I scored this summer. I had a 1-over par on the back nine. That was fucking fun. I'm playing out of my head. I mean, I was just in the zone. It hasn't happened since, but man, six pars in a row. That's no fluke, man. That's no joke. That was fun. But it's so elusive. Golf's the hardest game and it's the greatest game. But if a game is designed to be fun, who wins? The person who has the most fun?
No, nobody wins. There's no
Where's-
winning.
Where's the joy in that? But
I
yeah,
don't-
the point
but-
is you can't have it both ways.
You can't. Okay, but this goes back to a conversation we never really got to the bottom of earlier. Like, why? Where's the fun in that? No winning. I mean,
Wait, what's
winning.
what?
You just said, I said nobody wins, and you said, where's the fun in that, right?
Yeah.
Implying a level of competitiveness, right? Winning is more fun than losing.
No. That has nothing. You look at people like Tiger and MJ and me. It has nothing to do with winning. It's just that losing is not acceptable. I don't know Michael or Tiger,
Okay,
but
so
I'm
doesn't that
pretty sure that's true for all three of us. That's what drives me. It's like when I'm out there competing, it's not really about winning. It's about not allowing losing to happen. If that
So let
makes
me-
it, that's more than a subtle difference.
I understand the difference, but I don't think it's necessarily a counter to what I just said, that winning is more fun than losing. Losing is unacceptable. Well, winning isn't, so therefore it's the better option, right? Is winning acceptable? Do you accept winning? Is that an okay thing to happen?
It's the journey, man, not the destination. When I'm out there dribbling, when I'm out there dribbling, and I'm dancing, motherfucker. Like when I'm doing my thing, it's like snowboarding Breckenridge. Like it's Breckenridge. It's so fun.
Right.
That's what I live for.
So
the results come from that, but the fun is the dribbling. It's the execution. It's the intensity. It's the grace and the power and the flow and the leverage and the intellectual stimulation of what's going on and calculating everything and working all that. And I can't do that because the game doesn't afford me to do that. The game is not built for that level of sophistication. I mean, you understand Marxism, right?
No idea.
So Karl Marx made this observation and it was his Marxism was a financial system. His observation was there's stratification in the financial, stature of people. You had poor people and rich people. He came up with a theory of why that was. And then he came up with a solution for the theory. Right. So he determined that the stratification was a result of oppressors over the oppressed, which has been debunked a million times. It's just bullshit. It's just a boogeyman argument. And so the idea of Marxism or communism was the artificial destratification of financial systems and spreading out the wealth. What we see now in cultural Marxism and ultimate Frisbee, the rules of ultimate are completely built on this artificial destratification. But if you look at all human beings at all the different spectrums, so financials, okay, and even financial, you can diversify and have different types of finance, maybe inheritance or something else. I think inheritance is definitely one of them. But then you look at all the different ways we can be stratified: gender, intelligence, attractiveness, ugliness, obesity, how fit we are, emotional intelligence, social intelligence, race, ethnicity, left-handed, right-handed. I mean, there's so many different ways we can stratify until you get to the point you realize the ultimate stratification is one, that we're like snowflakes, like everyone's different. The whole idea that society is stratified. And then if you do the permutations, okay, the number of 61-year-old white quasi hetero male ambidextrous Frisbee player, science revolutionary guys, you can't, there's no way to artificially. First of all, the theory is ridiculous to begin with, that you can artificially level the playing field. Ultimate, absolutely, in every rule, in the first 3 paragraphs of the description, attempts to artificially destratify athleticism or games or sports or whatever you want to call it. It's all meant to make it easy for the mediocre player. And who wants to do that? What archetype, what kind of player wants to artificially de-stratify a game?
The mediocre player.
There's in sports, there's winners and losers. How many winners are there versus number of losers?
Like it depends on the sport.
True, but in order to get to the top, the cream, right? There's a few winners and
more losers,
like,
yeah.
Like a golf tournament, there's 70 people and one person wins.
Yeah, yeah.
And you might win, second prize, you get a part of the purse so that you can say, okay, I won something. But in general, there's way more losers than there are winners. That's how life is. Life isn't fair. Someone was born with better intelligence, better athleticism, better looks, and a nicer dog than you do. That's just how it is. And so, but if we're having a democratic process, of course, the majority wants to have a fair chance at winning a tournament because they don't stand a chance otherwise. And that's why Socrates hated democracies and why the United States of America is not a democracy. It's a representative republic. Because mob rule is mediocrity. And ultimate frisbee, if you want to get rid of the dogs and baskets phenomenon, we got to get rid of the mediocrity. You can just yank out all that ideology. It's all cultural Marxism, 100%. I had on episode 3, I had an expert on ideologies didn't know anything about Ultimate or Frank Huguenard. I went through those first 3 paragraphs. He's like, this is a recipe for mediocrity.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, if you want to have a game that's for fun, great. Let's not have a national championship.
I mean but that's different than what you just said.
How's that?
I said, if you want to, what's wrong with having a game for fun? And I mean,
I was being funny.
Right. But like, if you want to have a game for fun, then great, right? I mean, that's great.
If that's your intention, that's great.
If you don't, maybe you don't want to be involved in it. Maybe
right.
But I guess, I do understand they can't have it both ways. They're like, you can't, it doesn't really make sense if you're going to have a game for fun. It doesn't really make sense to attempt to crown champions. Right.
Unless there's a way of qualifying or quantifying fun people or the person who has more fun. But yeah.
But I mean, I think that even gets to the point isn't to be a champion. You know what I mean? Right.
Well, it's an oxymoron what I'm saying, but I'm saying if there is a winner, it would have to be that. And we have that. We have spirit awards at tournaments. And it's like,
but it doesn't make sense. But it doesn't make sense to say, well, the object is to have fun. So the winner is the one who has the most fun. It's like, no, the object is to have fun. So there is no winners. Like that's
the joke.
Yeah. So you don't crown the team that has the most fun. And I mean, I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with designing games to be fun, right? I don't have any illusions of winning a national championship, but I also don't really care if Ultimate gets into the Olympics. In general,
I don't care about any of that. So this is okay. Finish your statement, but I'll get to this. Where we differ
is that you find losing unacceptable. I do not. That's why I play, because I'm okay with losing. Okay. The thing I don't get,
I'll correct that.
Is quit playing golf. If losing is so fucking agonizing, then quit playing golf because you lose most of the time.
No. That's not. You're missing. You're not. You're not understanding.
I'm totally not understanding. I hear people say this, that I hate losing more than I love winning. Well, you can stop losing.
No, but I'm just saying that's what drives me. I'm not saying it's so aberrant and so horrendous I won't do it. I'm just saying that's, as opposed to being like a win at all cost player, has nothing to do with it. It's just what drives me and motivates me and inspires me to be the best possible player that I can be is that.
Mm-hmm. So
it's a driving force behind me developing this fantastic, and by the way, this is so much fun. That's the biggest irony. If you guys understood my system, it's way more fun than anything anyone does.
Exactly. Right. I get that. But like, again, this goes back to what drives you. Well, winning isn't the objective. I don't know if I don't
winning is a result.
you're but
When
fun is fun also a result?
Yeah.
Your game, the way you
Well,
play
so
is so much fun.
You know, do you know what the Golden State Warriors team values are?
No.
Joy, there's joy, mindfulness. I can get it in 10 seconds, but it's like that.
Yeah.
And so joy, I would say joy is a value. I mean, I would agree with Steve Kerr, who you're right. So, so that's where I'm at with with my dance. And when I'm on with my dribbling, and I can take the best defender in the world and just dance around him and make him look like that's so much joy.
Don't you think then you could convince Steve Kerr that you, well, maybe without knowing it, or maybe with knowing it, you've designed an offense that's designed for fun? Is what you're trying to do is your value is fun. So our offense, all our decisions are designed around having the most fun. And as it turns out, that causes us to win a lot of games. Because they do win a lot of games. At least they used to. I don't know if they're good this year or not.
They're awesome this year. And there's a whole full circle thing with a lot of what I learned in the early 90s, late 80s was Don Nelson and the Run TMC with Tim Hardaway and Mitch Richmond and Chris Mullins. That's where I learned, and they were running a motion offense.
Mm-hmm.
And they always sucked on defense because Nelson didn't care about defense. And then Steve Popovich was an assistant coach for the Warriors. He went to San Antonio, and Steve Kerr played there. Then Steve Kerr went to Phoenix, and then Spoelstra went from Phoenix to Miami, and then Kerr came. So it all came full circle. But a lot of the basis for my offense came from Don Nelson's Warriors in 89, 90, 91. So it's not really an analogy or a metaphor. But going back to like Don Nelson, it's an interesting theory. I'll give that to you. But I think it's the values. It's interesting. It's a really actually interesting question. The values that the Warriors have that include joy and the motion offense that they run and that I run is joyful. There's no intentionality there, or is there? I mean, certainly, like I'm a kind of a disc wizard, and so it's like freestyle. It's like snowboarding, or I've never skateboarded. It was like snowboarding to me. That's what I do. And so for me, definitely there's that desire to create, a half pipe on the field, and my teammates are part of that half pipe.
Right.
So clearly there's just a personal artistry as well as manifestation of a system for that artistry. I could imagine, like, you look at Don Nelson. I think he played for the Celtics in the 60s, and he would have been too small for, I think he was a small forward or something, like, but he was the perfect example of a player who was able to play above his on paper abilities by being clever and creative and innovative. So your question is, like, which came first, the joy or the egg?
Yeah.
I think you got me. You got me stumped. In other words, the joy came first.
Yeah.
And then I developed an entire system around that. But I didn't design it to be fun or joyful. I designed it. Well, no, you're right. I think you did. I think I did. Yeah, you're right. I'm a hypocrite.
Well, I think it's important. I think is what that means, though, is the criticism levied against other ultimate teams, the community at large, USA, whatever it is. The criticism isn't all they're trying to do is have fun. This is a game designed for fun. The criticism is they're not doing it well. Like they should be trying to have fun, but they're playing in an unfun way. If they're playing in this other way, they'd have more fun, right?
No, that's not. I mean, that's all. Yes, that what you said's true, but I'm thinking about this. Wait, there's no innovation. There's no creativity. Uh, there's no grace.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at it more of like, okay, what's the root? What's the root cause? What's the root cause here? If you want to heal a disease, you need to get to the root cause. Why is it so stagnant? Why has it been so stagnant? Why am I the only fucker in the world who's figured this out? And it's not for the reasons that you say.
That's true.
It certainly, I wish they understood how much fun it is, what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And it's fascinating. And it's like, to me, like I said, Ultimate's like a case study for ideologies and the ideology of progressivism or wokeism right now, and the ideology of Christianity and science. Science is stagnant. Their model for understanding life is fundamentally wrong. All this Marxism and cultural Marxism, nobody wins. In Ultimate, the funny thing is you kind of said something and I just kind of let it go, but nobody gets rewarded in Ultimate. Like participation trophies hurt everybody. The person who sucks and gets a participation trophy, they become narcissistic and entitled, and they don't, it's bad. It's really bad for their self-esteem actually to get participation trophies. And the people who win, who see people get parts, they're like, fuck, why did I work out and do all this training and everything? So actually it doesn't really, I've seen players, an example is, let me try to say this example. Yeah. There's been players before that are sort of gangly, nerdy or something. And I'll be frank with them, and it's because I respect them. And there's this real misguided idea. Well, if you respect them, you're going to be gentle and kind, and like that's your ideology. Actually,
no, I get that.
By me being like frank with them, they feel seen. Mm-hmm. They feel, well, this guy, he cares enough about me to actually want me to get better instead of this coddling thing. And I'll be in situations where I've done that, and that player who you would never imagine, goes through the roof and gets way better. And yeah, I'll be admonished in real time for, oh, Frank, you're such an asshole, man. That's not spirit of the game. It's like, well, what are you talking about?
Is there a distinction to be made there about like this person, you have this person who's not good at Frisbee and you respect them, but you don't respect their ability to play Frisbee because they don't play well, right? If you respected their ability, then you would say, hey, you're doing great. But you don't. And I mean, rightfully so, they're not good. Do you know what I'm saying?
It's almost the other way around. I'm not sure. Can you ask that a different way? Because I'm going to dig myself a huge hole. Let me think. Give me some time to come up with that a little more gracefully.
I just think if you respect somebody, then you can push them and have the expectation that they're not going to. Part of it is that they're not going to fold under this slightest bit of pressure, right?
Exactly.
But the other,
and of course, that's not always true. So of course, the person you think is going to fold doesn't, and the person you think won't fold does.
Yeah, but the person you say, "Hey, you're doing great," and you don't push them, like, if they're not good at Frisbee, you're not doing that because you respect them. You're not saying, "Hey, great job, keep it up."
Yeah, I don't patronize
because you respect them, right? But patronizing them, like that sort of thing, wouldn't be showing them respect. It I guess it would be, I don't know if respect is the right word, but it would be like, it would be showing respect to their current ability level, saying like, what you're doing now is good enough. You know what I mean?
Well, I know what you mean. I don't think that way.
Okay. Oh, of course you don't. Of course you don't.
Because I just I look in terms of potential.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I know, and I know that coddling in general, I'm sure coddling works with some people, but in general,
In
coddling
some
is the worst.
situations.
Right.
Right. It's not going to help.
But it's the worst thing for developing potential.
Yeah.
And ultimate is just a spirit of the game is just based on coddling.
But that's the thing, is if you're not interested in developing potential, you say, hey, where you're at is fine. Then coddling is fine. You know, you don't need to get any better. And why is it, when would you have the attitude, it's fine, you don't need to get any better, just don't improve, just go out here and play as you are? When would you have that attitude?
When I was 3.
Right.
No. I'm not. I'm being funny.
Right. When would someone have that attitude?
At a church picnic or a NAMBLA event or something.
When they're playing a game in which mediocrity is rewarded, right?
Well, yeah.
So doesn't that make sense?
Yeah, I not to be solipsistic about it, but I just keep looking at it through the lens of Crazy Frank. So I go,
yeah, I mean, I get it.
Yeah, it's hard to remove myself from that to get the logic, because I just know the potential of the community, of the game, of of the sport. And so I just see through that lens of potential. It's like, fuck, another cut, learn how to play the game. Jack Williams, you could be two orders of magnitude better than you are. Like, you have no idea what your potential is, because this cultural Marxist ideology is just, you're suffering from that. It's keeping you. I mean, look at all the really great innovations that came out of Stalin's USSR and Mao's Cultural Revolution. None. Look at all the great innovations in Ultimate Frisbee. None. Like, you guys are nowhere near your potential, and it's being oppressed. It's like the elite get oppressed in Marxism, because you oppress the elite to allow the mediocre to catch up with you. And it never works. It punishes everybody.
Yeah. So we've kind of come back to a point we were talking about earlier of, we value dictating tempo. Why do we value dictating tempo? And the answer isn't because dictating tempo is how you win. The answer, it seems, from a conversation we just had, is because dictating tempo is fun. This is the way the game is most fun. This is the way you snowboard, right?
No. In your snowboarding, you value a good set of boots, a quality board. Yeah. You want that board to be the right height to your, you want some nice gear. If you're going to go out on the mountain, you want to have good values. And I don't board here at Boone. It sucks. I boarded so much out in Tahoe when I lived in California. So I value a good mountain, which, in the context of the metaphor you're making, a good mountain would be, 15 quality players who also shared those values. The end result would be fun. But yes. I also value fun, and that's going to be
right. I mean, because to me, fun and joy, it's like, for me, if I was playing Frisbee and it wasn't fun, then I wouldn't play it. Maybe, and I don't know if that's the case for everybody, but
the number of times I quit Ultimate, I quit Ultimate more times than I quit alcohol, and that's a lot. Ugly mitt, and you practice all year, and you go to a tournament, and the tournament director fucked you over. I got all kinds of stories that are mind-boggling. And then then you're playing, and you got and you lose because of an argument or a bad call, or, and you get home and you want to put a gun to your head and you quit. You're like, fuck this. This is just, and then 2 months later I go out and pick some pickup game and throw a 60-yard frozen rope lefty flick. And like, oh man.
Yeah.
and then I get, every time I try to pull away, they just suck me back in.
Yeah.
But and I've been called, it's like I was saying about the snowboarder and the wrecking ball. I think, did I mention that?
Yeah. The balance. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, the fact that, I've been called over the last 20 years between illicit pick calls and illicit traveling calls 3,000-4,000 times. And so I'm the best in the world at what I do, because no one else does it, but man, I'm good. No ego. That's just, like, and it's so fun. That's what I know most, is the amount of joy I'm getting. And I do something spectacular. I plant my opposite foot and throw a lefty flick dribble, and it's just glorious and graceful and powerful, all that stuff, and beautiful and fun and joyful. And someone calls a fucking travel on me. How is that fun?
Right.
It's not. It's just, it drives me. It's just horrible. It's like the thing that I get the most joy out of, and someone's constantly taking that joy away because they don't know the rules, or it's a mess. So I'm a glutton for punishment. It's a love-hate relationship. I get a lot of joy out of it, and yet it's a struggle. And right now I can't even play. I got kicked out of the Boone League before I even played a point.
Yeah.
It's just, and of course, for me to dance, I need a whole team of dance partners. I've kind of more or less given up. I may be done. I may never play a point again the rest of my life, but I'd really like to teach what I know, because it's so funny. Like, it's so awesome. It's fun, and it's intellectually stimulating. It's entertaining to watch. You stupid fuckers who are trying to start professional leagues, your product is crap. Like, if you want entertainment value, I don't know why no one's called me up. like we've got this amazing piece of plastic. You can do so much with this thing, and nobody does it. There's no one out there who does. There's nothing. You bring up some really interesting questions and perspectives and, angles.
Good.
I don't care about the Olympics or professional. Any of those things are just results anyway. And I can't even play anymore. I don't know if I could play a point at this point. I'm trying to get my health back, but my health is pretty bad. I just want to share what I know. I can't say it any more succinctly and from the heart and the depths of my soul than that. I just want to share what I know. And what I know is, it's just those things. It makes it fun and intellectually stimulating and fun to watch and entertaining and joyful.
Yeah. Joyful.
Yeah. And it would be, and for you, who doesn't care about those things, it would be joyful for you too. Or like,
right.
That's also one of the ironies. For the pickup fun player, it makes it way more fun.
Right.
Right. It makes it fun for everybody. Well, I really appreciate this. It's been almost 3 hours now. It's been spectacular.
Good.
Yeah. I think we finally got to meet the real Joe, so we appreciate that. All right, man. Anything else?
Oh, what are your thoughts on pulling? You have any thoughts on pulling?
Yeah, I think most of the pulls are pretty fraudulent. You had Biden up by 20 points in Wisconsin. There's no way he was going to win Wisconsin.
So anyway, what are your thoughts on pulling?
Yeah, that was a joke.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, it's the least of our worries. It's pretty dumb.
See, here's the thing. I get pulling is pretty inconsequential.
Yeah.
Okay. But it's my favorite part of the game. Okay.
I
I come
always
from a
thought, huh?
I come from a disc golf background. So,
Yeah.
it's
I
I
had
love pulling.
greatest pull. I had the greatest pull ever.
That's not true.
It is true.
I don't think so.
I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Tell your story.
All right. I always thought that pulling, like the idea of having, you know, 7 on the line is kind of dumb. The puller should be behind the line, but I don't know why you couldn't have players up here on the pull. I always thought that would be interesting. So anyway, so you're a golfer, you know about hyzers.
Yeah.
And I'm big on like the guy, like again, when I'm watching national championships, I like pulling too. And the pulls suck. Like I don't see a lot of beautiful pulls. Like you should be able to get a lot more hang time using hyzers than players get.
Mhm.
And it's kind of like, that's a big thing. That disc holds up 2 more seconds. That's the
Right.
difference between having your defenders here and having them here or whatever. So, and usually what I try to do if the winds are cooperative is to pull and have it hyzer here.
See, you're not sharing screen right now. I can't, if you're trying to point something out.
Oh, that's weird. You can't see all this. How does that happen? Oh, I stopped. Oh, I know what happened. The heck? Oh, there we go. Okay.
There we go.
I have to start all over. So what I was saying about pulling is having, I can do it with this color. Instead of having 7 on the line, have 1 or 2 on the line, but being able to have players up here a little bit. So when we basically pull it, they would get a head start. I mean, this whole idea of people running full speed down here is kind of goofy. If you set them up here, they can just kind of jog and be in position. But anyway, so when I'm pulling, what I like to throw is a big old backhand hyzer. I'm right-handed that stalls this way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you do it well, it's a double hyzer. So it hyzers once here and then hyzers back.
Right.
Right. That's you're going to get a lot of hang time, and it's beautiful to watch.
Yeah.
So I'm playing in Palo Alto at Greer Park, and they all hate me. So it was that made it that much better. But it was really windy, and to throw especially like an ultimate disc downwind, it's not as easy as people think it is, because the wind will push it down.
Right.
So occasionally, there's the unicorn, a triple hyzer. So you get you throw it up here, and it hyzers over here, and then it hyzers back to the middle, and then it hyzers backwards, where the ass end of the disc goes up. I'm throwing downwind. So I pulled it, and it had stalled. I mean, by the time it got to the center here, we're talking, I don't know. It seemed like an hour. It was probably like 5 seconds or something. And we're talking, let's just say 20 miles an hour winds, or maybe 30 or something. It was really brisky. And on the triple, so have you ever seen a triple hyzer?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're very rare.
Unicorn.
They're unicorns, but
Mhm.
they're phenomenal. They're very rare, and you can't really. I mean, you can try to do double
It's
hyzers and kind of get them, but the triples
it's hard to do it intentionally. Yeah.
That's why they're unicorns. It just happens. All the stars have to align. And it fucking exploded. I mean, I had plenty of spin on it. Like I said, I'd thrown it. It's already been 5, 6, 7 seconds by the time it's hyzered once, hyzered twice, and then hyzered and went that way. And especially with a downwind like that, normally the disc gets just pushed down. But I had the ass end up on that third hyzer, and it just frickin' took off. It should have gone about 275 yards.
But it didn't.
Let's try to make a miniature here. The field's here, and then there's some water bottles here, and then there's a parking lot here, and then there's a big line of bushes, and then there's Highway 101 up the Bayshore Freeway. I can't tell you what it went. I mean, it went an obscene distance, maybe 160 yards, which with a ultimate disc is it's a unicorn's unicorn, right? You don't do that. Had it not hit these bushes, it would have cleared 101, 100%, because it was still accelerating. If it had not hit those bushes, it would have gone. I don't think it's an reasonable estimate. It would have gone 275 yards. It was spectacular, and
maybe never. Maybe it never comes down.
The spin, yeah, the spin.
Maybe it's still up to this day.
No,
if it doesn't hit those bushes.
Come on.
Maybe it comes all the way back.
When the spin would have eventually gone, and then it would have gone out. But it hit these with force. The bushes.
No.
I mean, it double hyzered here. And then exploded, went across the parking lot, went by some trees, hit these, and it got stuck in the top of the bushes. They were 15 feet tall. Yeah. It was, I think it was the greatest pull ever. I mean, it was,
and then they just take it at the brick, right?
Well, it was out of bounds. I mean,
what a drag. You do that, and then they just,
it was joyful. And they all hated me, cause I'm who I am. I'm so anti. Well, see, I've learned a lot over the last few years about Marxism and what ultimate really is. But at the time, I just hated I didn't realize why I hated it so much. I just knew it was like, this is, who came up with this? And of course, they were all good little spirited gamers. And, so that made it that much more fun, because I was just hooting and holler, and they're like, oh, fuck, it had to be Frank.
Yeah.
What do you think of pulls?
I love pulling. I think there's not nearly enough creativity when it comes to pulling. Everybody, the main objective is what people are trying to do when it comes to pulling. 99% of the time are just the only thing on their mind is throw it as hard as they can and put it over there. It's like all they're trying to do is throw it that way hard and then start playing ultimate, and
which goes with the psychology.
Yeah. There's never any, I love pulling, but more than that, I love thinking about pulling and, pull strategy and, what's the right pull for certain situations and certain wins, and throwing pulls early in the game to set up later pulls, or having certain pulls that are really easy to defend, but only if you expect it, only if you know that's going to happen. You can't throw that pull every point, so you keep that in your back pocket, it's my favorite part of ultimate.
I've pulled a low flick to midfield a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you're guaranteed to have your defensive clamp down.
See, and I mean, and that's a pull that is impossible to defend. right? As the other team, there's nothing they can do about it. If that's what you want to do, you can do it. Like,
right.
you know what I mean?
If you have confidence that you're going to give them a run for their money, you know, from that point on, and you can challenge,
Right.
It takes away an advantage that they have, even though they have to travel further yardage.
Right.
You're going to be more.
But ultimately, I mean, I think pulling isn't. It's weird because it doesn't matter that much. It's ultimately pretty inconsequential, I think. And I think being a good puller isn't really that reflective of how good you are. It doesn't really translate particularly well. I mean, if you're a really good puller, you probably have a pretty good backhand tuck, but you know, that's about it. Like, you can be a really, really good puller and not a good ultimate player.
And what
That's
really
possible.
pisses me off is the disc golfers who throw long flicks with the disc golf disc.
Yeah.
That annoys. Yeah, because I mean, I played a couple months ago for the first time, you know, in 10 or 15 years. I almost got a hole in one. I mean, the barrier to entry in disc golf is really low.
It's a much easier version of golf.
It's a very accessible version of golf. Yeah. So I don't play a lot. But still I see those guys, and I don't know you probably know the guy's name. He's got the $10 million.
Paul Macbeth.
Yeah. And I was actually watching some a year ago. I forget who the players were, but it was kind of fun getting caught up in the Sunday Tiger kind of thing, you know, who's playing, and there's a little drama there.
Yeah.
But yeah, the people are just throwing these flicks, you know, with the golf disc 100 yards. You know?
Yeah, like nothing.
Like nothing. Yeah, I don't care enough to learn how to do that, but it's pretty amazing.
Yeah. What about other disc sports? Do you play? Have you much experience with other disc sports?
You ever hear of disc hoops? Probably the greatest sport ever made. Actually, that's not true. It actually is objectively the greatest sport ever. We played double disc court back in the 80s.
Yeah.
It finally went the way. I don't know if anyone has ever played it in the last 20 years.
I mean, it's played, but you can't find a game, you know.
It was goofy. I played a lot of guts in the 70s.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind playing guts too.
I guess my favorite would be butterfly guts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love butterfly guts. That's fun. You know what that is?
No.
Yeah, you just throw knuckleballs basically.
Okay.
And you're like 5 yards apart. So it's the same game. It's a lot more fun. I mean, guts is stupid. You throw as hard as you can. It's a modified version
of guts. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're just throwing. You know, I've got a couple specialties.
Yeah.
That are, you know, my Frank throws. But that's fun. I mean, that's a tournament kind of beer game. Like, no one's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
Although this one girl I hurt once the day after the Loma Prieta earthquake. I had this underhand. I guess people might call it. I don't know if anyone knows what it is. But it's an underhand. Okay, I can't see my hand. You know, you're kind of throwing it like an underhand softball pitch or something. And the trick is to throw it with the lip just subtly up. So that eventually it kind of just flips up. And I eventually developed a real throw out of this because it flew so well. But it was after the Loma Prieta. Leslie Francis. Hey, Leslie, how you doing? And this thing, it was a triple hyzer. It was a unicorn, actually. But it was a spin. It was a spinless triple hyzer, and it was about a 10-foot throw, no spin. So I threw it, and it flipped up, but it didn't go. It didn't flip over or anything. It just flipped up to the left, and then flipped up to the right, and then nose dove. It's one of those things where you bite your lip because it's so funny, but but it hit her right here, which is the
right.
You know, that really hurts, right?
Even if it's hardly moving. Yeah.
Oh no, it had nosedived. I mean,
Uh-huh.
it went up, Heiser
Right.
1, Heiser 2, and then it was just like the pull I was telling you about.
Hmm. When you
But and it was glorious, but and she got hurt. I was like, okay.
right, yeah, are you playing this game with an ultimate disc?
Yeah.
Because
It,
is guts
Guts you
is
play with like a 119 whammo, you little tiny.
right.
It's not a
Yeah.
golf disc, it's a very light disc.
Right, right, right. Okay.
And the sport used to be the guys, we'd play with like baseball, not baseball, bicycle gloves, the fingers, but
Yeah.
the
Right.
fingers so you can catch, but so the
And
the
so it
the object would be to just bat it because it's coming
right, and
in
then
at
somebody else
60
catches
miles
it.
an hour, or
Uh-huh.
you catch it. But yeah,
Right, but
just
just yeah.
to pop it up. Yeah, I don't know when the last game of World Guts or tournament, but maybe they play it at World
Yeah.
Disc Federation.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know what other whatever disc games there are. There's just disc hoops and well, there's Ultimate, and you've heard what I've said about Ultimate.
Anyone
You
who
you
doesn't
show
like Ultimate doesn't
you
know how to play Ultimate.
you show me someone who prefers Ultimate to Ultimate, and I'll show you someone who doesn't know how to play either.
Right, there you go. That's the right
I,
idea.
yeah, right. But it's the delivery and the right. Um, and there are a few people I know I'm out of the scene anyway that prefer Ultimate. They're good Ultimate players. But I had been playing in the 90s a drill that I run to teach and coach the motion offense called Ball Breaker for like 10 years. So 15 seconds into my first Ultimate game. And people have been telling me, for a few years, hey, Frank, have you heard of Ultimate? I think you might like it. Like, yeah, whatever. What is that? It's kind of funny. I'm imagining actually something more like disc hoops. But I was like 15 seconds into my first Ultimate game. I was like, oh shit, this this is the shit. And this is mine. Like I own this. Like I just
Mhm.
lit it up. And then I was trying to change the rules for Ultimate almost 20 years ago and writing letters to the UPA saying these rules are ridiculous. Of course, they thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
And so I figured, Ultimate will be easier to change. There's just one or two guys. And I went down to San Diego. Epic amount of smack talk. If you have to go a day without talking smack, a day is not worth living. And I had been talking all this epic smack on RSD and on the internet saying I'm the best in the world, which I am. And then I'm to prove it, I'm going to go down and play in this California State Ultimate Championship in sneakers. And I did. It was,
Fun.
the inventor of Ultimate, a guy by the name of Jim Herrick, who's a two-time national champion in Ultimate with the Boston. It's not, maybe Rude Boys. Thought that was, yeah, maybe Rude Boys. Classy, old school Ultimate player. From what I remember, Ultimate was before Ugly Met. It's just like classy people. He invented Ultimate, and he was at this tournament. His jaw was on the ground. He's like, like he was literally confused. I don't get this. You're not running very hard, and you're wearing sneakers, and you're completely unstoppable. This defies everything I've ever known to be true. Like he was just he kept playing. Like there was two in the tournament, there was two Goldie fields, and he kept walking away from his game just to come over and watch me because he was like, what the hell is this guy doing? Yeah, in sneakers, just dominated. Legendary.
How fun.
That was fun. That was definitely fun. But again, the fun to me is the dance. It's the journey. Yeah. And so then I invented Ultimate 2.0. I made full court Ultimate and with a rational set of rules. And Rick Connor, who invested, he sold 2 houses and a 401k plan to invest into Ultimate.
Disc hoops or Ultimate?
No, Ultimate.
Okay.
It like he put Ultimate on ESPN. I mean, Ultimate's a better game than Ultimate. It's a better. It's the same basic framework, but the canvas to paint on is a much better canvas to paint on. it's because I'm, to me, finesse, there's the best part of Frisbee is the finesse, the artistry that you can do with it. Why I don't like a 70-yard field. What do you need that for? There's
Yeah.
there's nothing beautiful about a long huck and a layout catch. I've seen those for so many decades. What's beautiful, is a lefty no look lift into the wind, so he saw that too, but he didn't realize he was investing in cultural Marxism. You know what I'm saying? Like he just saw
Right.
dollar signs, like
It's a beautiful game.
Jim had invented it, I think, on Christmas or Thanksgiving in 1978, a long time ago. And they just gathered to practice, and they only had 6 or 8 people. And they said, "Oh, let's use the uprights for the goalpost as the goal," and they invented the game. And then Jim moved to San Diego, and their goal, they used as a goal like 2 trees that had branches that kind of went over.
Yeah.
And this guy Trey like broke his leg running into one of the trees. Like, well, maybe. So then someone came up with this idea of the PVC pipes, and boom, then they were off to the races. And they had turned it like in the about 20, 22, 23 years ago, there was a pretty good explosion of Goaltimate. And so Rick bet the farm and lost. He literally bet the farm. And by the time I got into this tournament in 2005, Goaltimate was kind of, it finished. It had that
past its prime, yeah.
And the poor guy, like I was trying to help. I didn't care. I was like, look, here, and Jim Herrick was completely behind me. He's like, yeah, these are good rules, and and you're, he conceded. He's like, you're the best Goaltimate player. He was blown away. He's like, he was funny. He's like, it ain't bragging if you can back it up. And Frank backed it up. And so I came up with Goaltimate 2.0, which, it was my culmination of everything. And Rick threatened to sue me. And he wouldn't have won that in court. Goaltimate had been in existence for 20 years before he patented it or trademarked it. You can't trademark something that's in the public. So I was like, okay, fine. It's Disc Hoops. Like I didn't care. Like
yeah.
All right, good. Right. Well, but it's mine now. Like, like I was willing for it to be his. I didn't care who owned it, but okay. All right, fine. Thanks for your blessings. Yeah, exactly. And we had a pretty good run in the Bay Area. In the late 2000s, I had a lot of jam players, and it was an amazing. I've never seen ever anyone congregate around an ultimate field to watch, people walking their dogs or whatever, and spectating, like ever. Maybe someone will stop for 5 minutes, but not spectators. There was this one day in Golden Gate Park. We're playing, and a couple of people sat and we're watching, and we're playing. Next thing you knew, the entire perimeter of the field was lined with spectators. Random people checking us out, and they were watching intently for the whole game. Never in the history of Ultimate Frisbee has that ever happened.
I would think not.
Yeah, and then the experience of taking some of these great players and them taking my framework and blowing my mind with. All I did was create the canvas for them to paint on. And man, they took my game to levels I never even expected. I was like, man, that was a great experience. I was like, holy crap. Because you just like, how many people get to experience that? How many people invent sports? Yeah. That was a beautiful thing. And Disc Hoops really is great. It's super high octane. You flip, like in basketball or football, the ends, you reverse ends at end of quarters or halftime. Disc Hoops, you switch ends every score.
Right. Because right.
It's make it take it, right? And but after you score there, then you're going back and you're attacking
the other way.
So you can run off 10, 12, 15, 20 points in a row if
without ever giving up possession. Yeah.
Right. And it's fucking exhausting. I mean, I've played hockey before as a kid, which is considered by many to be the most demanding. You play disc hoops and you go home and watch college basketball. They're moving in slow motion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like disc hoops is so like you can't, there's no, like in basketball, when you start paying attention, they're resting an awful lot.
Right.
Unless they're playing the Warriors. But, there's a lot of time when, you score, then you can kind of, go back to the plate defense. That's not there in disc hoops. And so it's balls to the walls all the way, and it's fun and everything. And you can throw to yourself and
right.
It has all the normal things you would have in sports. There's one legacy left over that is an odd thing. It's a play-based legacy about the disc lying on the ground. It's a real odd thing in Ultimate. No one notices how odd it is because
as you accept it. That's
because right.
Your first day of Ultimate, you get taught that's what happens. Yeah.
Right. But when you look and there's a couple artifacts of that are kind of the same thing. When your momentum takes you into the end zone and then you come back and ground check the disc, that's a really bizarre. You should either have to throw back out of the end zone or it should be a turnover. But the idea that you get to travel
or it should just be a score. If you don't have to stop once you catch the disc, then you know what I mean?
Well, I know what you mean, but no. Oh no, I know what you mean, but no way, because then
it wouldn't work.
It would never work. It would be like everyone would be cheating and arguing, and that would be
yeah.
But it just looked through my eyes now that it's like, wait, that's got to be fixed. That's not. That wasn't very well thought out, and going out of bounds too, which is different. But that someone throws the disc away and it's just sitting there in the middle of the field.
And then the other team just takes their time and gets set up and picks up the disc and starts playing.
So I think the way to fix that in disc hoops or whatever is just do a side out, which would look
okay.
It would clean it up. It would be consistent with the rest of the rules. It's sort of like, okay, this is a what do I call it? A possession based sport or it would make it more in line with the possession based sport. Okay, the play stops. I didn't call it. I call it something else other than possession, didn't I? There's play-based sports and continuous play sports. In a continuous play sport, what is the disc sitting there doing on the ground? Because in continuous play sport, that's a scrum.
It's live and you grab it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So you talking about a side out. So in that situation, somebody from what is now the offense gets the disc, takes it to the side, and then
the referee picks it up and throws it to the side, and then
But is it like a throw in soccer that they're standing from out of bounds and they throw it in, or is they check it in and they can start dribbling?
Most of the people who played disc hoops had this feeling of, oh my God, this is the way it's supposed to be. It seems so wrong, but this is actually the right, so all the side outs on fouls and traveling violations, it's just like basketball or soccer. So you don't have to have a foot on the line. You can move around a little bit, but and the marker can't sit there, it's so much, it's so clean, it's how it should be. Side outs are because of a continuous play sport. It's a little odd to make a turnover a side out, but it's the only solution that works, really, unless you wanted to do a jump ball or something stupid.
Yeah, it's not odd to make a turnover a side out. It's odd to make a disc on the ground a turnover, right? That you kind of have to do it but in basketball, ball on the ground isn't a turnover. In soccer, the ball on the ground isn't a turnover. Whereas in a disc-based sport, like it probably should be.
Yeah.
Right. That's kind of the unique part.
Well, in soccer, there are times in soccer when there's like a foul or something, and the ball's just dead on the middle of the field.
That's true. Yes. Yeah. I guess in soccer, you don't really have a situation where the ball's in the middle of the field and you take it to the sideline to resume play. I don't know if that happens.
Right, but if it's a live ball, then it's a live ball,
Right.
and you couldn't just have a live ball in Ultimate
Exactly.
because then you could intentionally just huck it and then run down there and pick up
Right.
the live ball. That would be
It
a
would totally,
mess.
it would totally not reward throwing skill. You know, if you didn't have to complete a pass, if you just had to throw it in the area of someone
Oh,
and they could
right.
pick it up and start playing, then
Or
what,
you can
yeah, what's the point?
that would be sort of a form of dribbling. You can throw it yourself 10 yards, go
Yeah.
run real quick and pick it up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That,
that would
that'd be
be.
silly.
But it
But
does
anyway,
in my eyes, it looks odd in Ultimate that there's
I get it.
that the disc is just sitting there. It's definitely a play-based legacy, and
Mm.
the community needs to decide. They need to identify and say, yes, Frank, you're right. It's a mishmash of play-based and continuous-based. It can't be both. Well, why can't it be both? Well, because
Right.
the guardrails are really different from each, and you can't just mash them up and then you have the
Mm.
guardrails of neither.
And in order to make it play based, one thing you could do to make it play based is after every catch,
I
then
got an
you
idea. I
actually restart.
get to tackle people.
Well, no, I mean you don't change the way the plays work. Is you throw, you catch. As soon as you catch it, that play is over. But instead of then immediately turning up field normally or looking back to the throw or whatever to throw it again, play is stopped. You take the disc to the center of the field. The offense gets to set up. The defense gets to set up, and now that person gets to throw again. I mean, then it's frisbee football. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
And that I can't imagine that would
Well,
be
no,
fun.
that's why I said I get a tackle.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, like, okay, if you guys want to, because all these ego guys, narcissists on all these teams who are celebrating after, if you knew how easy it is to score with my offense, you wouldn't be celebrating. But it's like they want to be out there. They want to be Tom Brady or whatever, and have this, delusions of grandeur of being a quarterback. Well, okay, I'm going to be Lawrence Taylor then. I'm going to knock you on your ass. Like you don't. You're just such a pansy thinking that you're a quarterback when there's no way to stop you.
There's no defensive line.
There's no defense. There's no tackle. There's no ability to tackle you. There's no contact. So you can't. It's a horrible mishmash.
Yeah,
It's frisbee football without any guardrails at all.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's 9:30 for you?
Yeah.
It's a good thing you wanted to do this early.
Yeah, as it turns out.
As it turns out. I'm going to have to go. It's 10:30.
Yeah. It's been long enough.
Yeah. This has been fun. I hope somebody gets something out of this.
I did.
Well,
I
good.
hope you did too.
Oh, I had fun for sure. I got a couple. I enjoy this immensely. The thing Sunday got a little heated,
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was overall positive though. I mean,
really, that's great to hear because I was exhausted today, and I want to hear what you're going to say because my ego wants to hear it. But I was exhausted, and I was a little bit. I mean, he's got 30 years under his belt debating this. I have no debate background. I got most of the, haymakers in that I wanted, and we could have used a moderator. I kind of want a rematch, but I kind of that guy's an asshole. I
mean, I thought though, regardless of what he believes, what he teaches, whatever it is, he's obviously a bright guy.
Right.
And that's important because if he was a dummy, then it doesn't matter what you say. You know what I mean? So that was beneficial. I thought that what you said was, for the most part, understood. I mean, I watch these things a lot, and you say something, and whoever you're talking to misses the point, or they're trying to say something, and sometimes you miss the point. You know what I mean? The more of that you have, the worse the product is. And I thought, for the most part, I mean, you're saying things, and he's you're actually talking. You were actually
I th-
having a conversation, having a debate, whatever, but you were actually talking to each other instead of just talking at each other.
That's good to hear. That's great feedback because I don't know. I mean, I got through with it.
Right.
I felt like I got hit by a truck yesterday morning when I woke up. It was just so, I mean, I woke up in the middle of the night with so like what just happened, because it didn't go. I certainly didn't go as I had hoped.
Mhm.
And I made a couple tactical errors because I
Yeah.
didn't have the experience, like he's been learning for 30 years how to avoid the landmines and how to do
Exactly.
things. And so I wish I had performed better, but I thought, even though I underperformed, I mean, like I said, no one's ever taken him 15 rounds like I did,
Yeah. I mean, obviously I don't know anything about his history, but I thought that like, there's no way he came out of that. And at the end, there's no way I have to imagine that he woke up the next day thinking that he actually understood your point better, and he actually had to think about what he was saying more.
That
And
would
to me,
be amazing.
that's got to be the goal. I mean, that happened to you too. I mean, clearly, as this was happening, there were moments where you're actually having to think about what you're saying, right? You're actually having to consider what you think and how to express it, right? And if that's, if not that, then what's the goal of this? What's the goal of having these conversations? Is to express your ideas and better understand your ideas.
Well, I like what Sam Harris says, which is, he kind of says that actually that's not a goal, or that's not a reasonable or goal, but basically that it's the people watching who are going to get something out of it. So that's more of what I'm interested in. Like, what did you not? I'm not asking, but like, I hope you and everybody else get something out of it. And says, I mean, for me, what I want ultimate players to get out of it is seeing what an ideologue looks like.
Yeah.
Because you don't have that objective perspective with yourselves, but to
Right.
see
Right.
but to see this atheist ideologue who kept saying, "Well, Frank, you're an ideologue." Okay, what's my belief system?
And then he never followed up on that.
He can't. I'm not an ideologue. And he wants to label me as an ideologue, because as soon as I'm an ideologue, then he can use his ideology to defend his ideology. And I'm like, no, you can't defend your ideology without your ideology. Let's see where you stand. He used materialism to defend materialism 69 times. Like, if you took out all the times he defended himself with materialism, he would have said hello and goodbye.
Yeah, I think the idea of thinking about what other people are getting out of it, though, I mean, I would view that more as a side effect than a value.
I'm not attached to the fruits of my labor, for sure. That said, when I look at the suffering on the planet right now, when I look at the divisions, when I look at the inability for communication to happen between ideologies, or what's happening basically everywhere, I want to help.
Right.
So I look at ideologies are just sort of the source of so much pain and suffering. And like Plato wrote about this 2,500 years ago, that whole allegory of the cave, if you ask me, is about ideologies. Take off your beliefs, let go of your belief systems and become enlightened. I could just sit up here in Boone and meditate and live in a cave and become enlightened, but I want to do what I can. To me, it's just sort of like my without sounding grandiose, sort of my service to humanity, just to, again, share what I know.
But I think
so. That's why I want to do that kind of call with him that I did.
But I think you sitting in Boone and meditating is not the best way for you to better your own understanding. Okay. So I think
I'm not sure about that, but
I think for me, you have to talk about your ideas to better understand your ideas. Not even change them, but like to better understand them.
I
right?
definitely want a rematch.
Yeah. I just think that like the goal isn't like you see these problems, there's the suffering in the world. Your goal can't be to fix those problems. The goal should be to teach what you know and have faith that that's going to fix the problems.
Well,
That's
it's
going to
funny
help.
because that's why how he became an atheist, ironically
Okay.
enough. And I didn't mention this. I asked a question, and there was a few times where, and this was one of them, because so he claims, I don't know if it's true or not, but he claims that why he became an atheist is because he couldn't reconcile human suffering with the Bible.
Right.
And he's like, no God would allow this much suffering. And yet Buddha became enlightened because of the same mental friction. He had that same quandary, and he dove into it instead of
Rejecting it.
well, in rejecting God,
Right.
or whatever. Yeah, it's sort of like you have to get rid of one of these. You can't, but you should be able to reconcile.
Yeah. Yeah.
So with regards to me, I just want people to meditate. That's that's all I want to share. But I want people to learn how to dribble. I want science to get rid of abolish materialism because it's fundamentally wrong. His argument, he was more forceful and he had more knowledge of philosophical teachers or whatever, but he didn't have an answer. And his answers were pathetic. Oh, Frank, well, we got this. Well, us PhD professors, we know what we're doing, and who the hell are you?
There was some of that. Yeah.
But he had no answer for. In fact, at one point he conceded that human consciousness operates non-locally. He basically said that. It's like, okay, Bart, why doesn't anybody know that? Why are you guys keeping that secret if you know for you fuckers? Like, that should be front page news. What the implications of it, that's a different story. But so, I mean, that's sort of what I noticed, because I researched him a lot the last week, listened to a lot of his speeches and talks and stuff. And he comes off in all of his work like he plays in a sandbox like this big, which is very safe. Well, I'm authority on this, and that's all I'm
Right.
But I got him so far out of that sandbox Sunday night.
True. Yeah.
And the other thing is that he knows way more than he lets on about the things that I'm saying, but they kind of defeat his. It's a conflict of interest with what his shtick is. So he doesn't want. It was rough. I want a rematch.
Yeah, I mean, I like as a viewer, and I'm not going into. Hopefully I'm not really going into this on his side or your side, but like, and I don't think there was I don't know. I didn't come away from it thinking that like that was a really heated argument, and that the two of you, that there's, I guess when you say rematch, it's like, I think if you have another discussion, that would be great, but like, it was valuable. You know what I mean? Like, it was valuable.
That's great.
And there's no like, you can't come out of a discussion like that thinking who won and who lost, because neither one of you lost,
That's really great. That makes my whole evening worth it, because I was kind of in it, and I kind of agree with you. It's sort of like that wasn't the objective. It was just more or less, I felt there was a potential or possibility that I had gotten squelched, or that my message got squelched, or that he was effectively, because I have gotten some, so the Christians think it was a draw, the idealists think I won and the materialists think he won.
Yeah.
That's sort of my theory. Like whoever lined up,
Right.
would would naturally think that.
Yeah. And that's how it normally goes. Yeah.
So the materialists I've heard from think that I got squashed, and like,
right.
what part? Tell me.
Because he's the one who said the most things they agreed with that they think was right. So of course, but I don't know. I mean, I don't think a goal should be going into it thinking that like you're going to win, or even that winning is trying to convince him of anything. Even it's just like, it's about sharing ideas and teaching, sharing what
he did give me an awesome compliment. He's like, this is the most interesting conversation I've had in years.
Yeah. And I don't know. If you've been hard on yourself for that conversation, I don't think that's warranted.
I'm not hard on myself. I didn't like the way he was. I don't like being treated like that.
Yeah, and I understand. I don't know if.
I mean, that's the same shit I've been getting from the ultimate community for decades. So it's like, come on, treat me with treat me with more respect than that. I'm sorry I don't have a PhD in your shit, because your shit, like your ideology is not mine. Like, why should I get a PhD in your ideology?
Oh yeah, so, I get that. No.
So yeah, I came away thinking, okay, you're sitting there getting drunk on wine and you're not taking this seriously and you're being a jerk, and I deserve better than that. But that's just maybe my ego.
Maybe it was valuable.
Well, thank you, Joe. I'm glad to hear that. It's been viewed, as far as I know, 49 times, which is again not being attached to the fruits. But I think, I mean, I guess that's what I was, and it'll take time. I mean, he's a pretty big name. But I don't have, like, my viewpoint's not shared with anybody. Like the Christians, like there's a lot of Christians who would like to see his ass kicked, but not by by someone who's not a Christian, except maybe I am a Christian.
Maybe by the preacher.
But I do have something I never got around to, which is that we did descend from rocks.
Well, didn't he made a reference to that?
No. But the point is he made the reference he made is that that life started through abiogenesis happened, that we had lipids, amino acids, self-replicating molecules, gravity, electricity, light, whatever, all the right things, and poof, life happened. There's as much evidence for that as there is in the Easter Bunny. And that's why he says we descended from rocks, which I heard last week. I was like, oh, that's my entry point. That's where we're going to get all the work done. I heard that. I was like, man, that is fucking awesome. Even though I didn't agree with it, it was just so succinct and pithy. You can't describe scientific materialism in less words than that.
Yeah.
But my model, and I had hoped to get through this. My model, or the model that I understand, is that that life is a form of concentrated, consolidated consciousness. So there's a quantum coherence that gets set up that maintains form, and that a rock has one unit of life according to this model.
Okay.
So we did descend from rocks. I mean, if you can imagine that a rock, so the planet forms. I mean, I'm kind of spitballing here, but the planet forms. There's all this molten thing and this thing spinning around, and there's all these rocks forming that are one unit of life each, because you've got this quantum coherence holding this rock together. That's what makes it a rock, is that there's a unit of life there. There's some consolidated consciousness. And then, like a rock doesn't get reincarnated, but if I mean, maybe this isn't true. I've never heard anyone say that, like, what happens to that life form when that rock dies, and what does a rock dying even mean? And if that rock breaks into two rocks, is that two life forms? And at what point? At one point in the reincarnation process, does that one unit of life in a rock turn into an amoeba? It's not a very well thought out. In fact, I just thought about it Sunday night when I'm talking to him. It's like, oh shit, that makes things even worse. What if we did ascend from rocks, but it's not through abiogenesis, but it's through divinity, that life is divine, and we never got to that.
From a kind of more an entropic point of view, it might suggest that maybe rocks descended from us. It's like the life becoming more desperate instead of consolidating.
Yeah, but we didn't. Entropy breaks when it comes to life, and science breaks when it comes to consciousness. Life is the one thing in the universe that defies entropy.
I think that's I think that lines up.
What do you do?
I'm a student. I'm getting a master's in statistics.
Interesting. And what are you going to do when you grow up?
I don't know, statistics, I guess. Hopefully go to school again. I like school.
Go to school indefinitely. Yeah. I guess it's a good time to be in school. It's going to be a crazy time. It's going to be a crazy few weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of these days Trump's going to be back in office. Within the next, I probably before the end of the year, maybe. If not, early next year, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
I'm pretty confident. It's just logic and reason.
I don't know. Some things are more valuable than logic and reason.
Sometimes you have to go beyond reason.
I've heard.
Yeah, and he twisted my words so many times.
I know.
Oh, you saw that. I mean, how many times did he twist my words or not under? So he's used to having this debate, and I kept hitting his tripwires, and he had automatic responses.
Right.
And didn't understand. I'm not playing that game.
Yeah.
That doesn't work with me. I mean, what, 10, 15 times he twisted my words around?
Or just totally misunderstood. I mean, who knows? I think there's some of each.
Yeah. No, Trump knew the election was going to be rigged.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to be rigged, so he knew. Of course he knew. Trump is not the kind of man who leaves things to chance. He would have put in place a mechanism to. I mean, he sees himself in the same category as Lincoln or Winston Churchill or Kennedy, and he sees obviously if this was a fraud, it would have involved God knows how many people. It's a massive
dozens at least.
Dozens, come on, man, thousands.
Yeah,
thousands of people from judicial, legislative, executive, intelligence, law enforcement, and the media at the local, state, and federal levels, and other countries. This was an overthrow of the United States of America. So Trump very much sees himself
quite the swamp. Quite the swamp.
Yeah, there's more swamp than not.
Yeah.
So he sees the republic at, it's either him, he's going to save the republic, or it's not going to be saved. Like, he's that kind of Kennedy-esque or Lincoln-esque kind of person who's the right person for the right time, who's going to save the republic. And he certainly had the wherewithal or the legitimate cause to make a proclamation that we are at war, in probably two different for two different reasons: a biological terrorist attack, COVID, and an attack on our infrastructure and in our elections systems. So he would have proclaimed we were at war a year ago. And as a wartime president, I mean, like Lincoln suspended the Constitution. I don't think Trump did that, but he probably did something similar. And so, and the $1 million question is, okay, if that's true, why did he allow the last year to happen? I don't think he had much choice. And I think a lot more people would be embracing his return now than they would have on January 20th. All hell would have broken loose on January 20th had the cavalry come in and made a stand. We probably would have had civil war. So
I hope not. War's no fun, man. That's what I keep hearing.
It's just a happening.
It doesn't seem fun.
Certainly one of the biggest challenges is going to be deprogramming people. I mean, basically, there's been a lot. I mean, like some of my dear friends, they're going to lose their minds because they've completely bought into an artificial narrative that just has no basis. And when this flips, they're going to lose they're literally going to lose their minds. They're just going to be everything they've been told for years, and no critical thinking on their part. Come on, what's wrong with you? I've been my 40 years in Ultimate and being the recipient of hate mongering from the ideologues has informed my experience. So I've seen all the hate mongering on Trump for 5 years. Like, oh, I know what that is. That's my buddy. I mean, the hate mongering. So it's been a constant companion of me for 40 years. So it's like I see it for what it is. But they've all been led to believe something that's just been an artificial construct, and when it goes away. So the challenge, I think, is like how do you most gracefully, compassionately, certainly you would have to think they're going to have to commandeer the television networks, because they're the biggest culprits, or the biggest tool in the brainwashing process. You'd have to think that if this thing flips back over, that they're going to be commandeered, and there will be some information to explain to people what just happened.
Yeah, we'll see.
Stock up on some beans and rice.
I love beans and rice.
Yeah. All right. Look, it's 11 o'clock. I could talk to you
you
all
gotta
night
go.
long.
Yeah, maybe we can do this again.
I wouldn't mind. Talk about anything.
Yeah.
That's worked out really well.
Tell me something about meditation sometime.
Oh, okay. Well,
not tonight. Don't get started.
No.
But some other time.
No. You can't just say that. What do you want to know about meditation?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know anything about meditation, but some other time we can talk about meditation.
But just let me.
It's 11 o'clock.
No, I know, but why did you ask me 3 hours ago? This is my life.
We were talking about something far more interesting 3 hours ago.
No, meditations. I mean, I strongly encourage everybody to watch all the films on my website. Beyond Me makes a case for how reincarnation is the major driving force behind all evolutionary biology, and that what psychologists call personality disorders are merely just a set of traits and tendencies, and those traits and tendencies are far more instinctive behavior than they are mommy and daddy issues. It's taken me tens of thousands of lifetimes to become the person I am. And meditation is a way of taking those impressions on your consciousness and just wiping them clean over many years. If you had met me 20 years ago and meet me tonight, you'd be like, okay, where do I sign up? I mean,
Yeah.
it's awesome. Uh, I mean, I'd love to do that again. We will.
Okay.
And other than just do it, and I can give you a quick thing. It's a way of disabling sensory input
Hmm.
and quieting the monkey mind.
Okay.
So if you get to a state of consciousness where sight, hearing, touch, taste, smell, have been turned off, and your mind quiets, what are you left with?
I don't know. Your breath.
There was
I'm
one
just kidding.
time. No, it's a rhetorical question, but you're left with the truth. And his response to that 20-year thing, UFC someone,
Right.
he flailed on
Yeah. That was a not a good moment for the
No,
during the discussion. Yeah.
no, and that's part of the thing of me waking up in horror. Like,
Yeah.
he was being obstinate. He knew that's one of those things. He knew damn well what the fuck I was talking about, and he refused to. And he was trying to get me to say something that he was just ready to pounce, and I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. I
Yeah,
was like,
no, I know what you mean.
Yeah, you fucker, you know exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But no, that's not even the goal of meditation. That's just a consequence, a consequence, right? I mean, meditation is the art of doing nothing. So you're not chasing anything or doing anything.
Right.
But it's something that certainly if everybody meditated, this world would be so sweet. It's such a, it's such a cure-all. Like it's such a gift. Like it's like it takes care of everything. It takes you sleep better and you become more creative, and your negative traits and tendencies just kind of drift away. And I quit drinking alcohol like 500 times. I only stopped once. When I stopped, I didn't have anything to do with it. It just happened. It's like 6 months later. Oh, I haven't had a beer in 6 months. Like I didn't. When you're quitting, there's a tug of war. Okay, I don't know. I don't want to.
Right.
It's always okay. All right.
It's the struggle. You're struggling.
Oh, so yeah. So ultimate players, if they just learn to meditate, they can learn how to play, because then they can lose the struggle. I don't know, but yeah. Well, let's do meditation, because that's actually my wheelhouse. That's all I really want to talk about.
Okay.
What's happening here? Oh, what's going on? Oh, all right, Joe. Been a pleasure.
Yeah.
We'll do it again.
Thanks for the chat.
Good luck with your statistics. Thanks for the feedback on the show the other night.
Yeah.
That's much appreciated, because I was not sure. I hope it has legs. It wasn't marketed at all. It's just sitting there. I think it's pretty brilliant, other than the contention stuff. There's a lot in there, and we'll see what happens. Stay well, my friend.
You too. Have a nice one. Bye.